everybody. Welcome back to True Crime Metrix, the place of true crime and metrics together. But only a few things going on here. Yeah, quite a few things going on here. Sorry we're late. This crazy hour. How did we get this late? I don't know. We've been doing some... we had an administrative issue. But that's okay, because we're back. And we're closing off, I believe, on Charlie Adelson's direct examination. So bored of this. But the good news is that True Crime Metrix is changing for the better. As soon as we get this goddamn trial out of the way, whose idea was this? Let's watch the entire Charlie Adelson trial. Catherine McBanawas seemed to go by pretty quickly. I gotta stop listening to other people, you know? I think that's the problem. Me and listening to others. That can't happen anymore. Yeah, so I guess, I'm just stuck doing this now. I don't want to bail on it. And we are about to get to Charlie Adelson's cross-examination by the fantastic bear of justice, Georgia Kappelman. That's why we're all really here, right? But there's just so much more we could be doing than watching this shit. But we are going to watch this shit with you right now. Does anyone remember where we were? I think there was a break. Right? Okay, there was a goddamn break. There. Look at him.
Skin a cat. Beyond the one way in which he's alleging to have been extorted, what is his foundation to make this opinion?
He's making an opinion based on his past, and it goes to his state of mind. So even though it's hearsay, it's an exception to the hearsay rule, which is his state of mind.
State any further argument. All right. I am going to sustain the objection. Your client may testify as to any matters he can recall, but specifically not getting into the substance of this call itself.
Fair enough, Your Honor.
Let's bring back in the jurors.
May I approach the podium, Your Honor?
You may.
Hello, Michelle. Looking good with that wrench. Addie Zanone. Hey, how you doing? Always glad to see you, Addie. And happy birthday again for April the 15th. Can't believe I got that wrong. And then made a big show about what a great memory I have. What an idiot. Stupid. Colleen. Loving the comments, Colleen.
5:45.
All right, jury enter in the courtroom.
Everyone can be seated. The objection as to hearsay is sustained. You may continue.
The Matsuri dinner was on April.
I know, Addie. Should we go back and watch that right now? Any opportunity I get to watch the Charlie Adelson dentist promotion. Okay, who's got that? Let's have a look. What do we search for? The Adelson Institute. The Adelson Institute. Helping people chew. Pretty lies and alibis. Go and check out Gigi's channel if you just cannot get enough of a fantastic South Carolina accent. Okay, I gotta add a new... Oh, what a pain. Okay.
What I enjoy most about our practice is
what is
restoring
that?
a person's smile. That often changes their personality and gives them
Often changes their personality.
a more positive outlook on life. Our practice uses the most modern dental technology, from rotary and
Modern dental technology. Well, that's a start. You wouldn't be using the modern tire retreading technology.
endodontics, computer-generated ceramic restorations, digital radiographs, intraoral photography, and of course, we use nitrous oxide and oral sedation for the highest
Intraoral photography. Why does everything he lists have to sound super scientific? Because it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Oh, intraoral photography. It's an X-ray, buddy.
level of patient comfort and relaxation.
Yeah, drugs. A lot of drugs.
What I enjoy most about our practice is restoring a person's smile. That often changes their personality and gives them a more positive outlook on life. Our practice uses the most modern dental technology, from rotary endodontics, computer-generated ceramic restorations, digital radiographs, intraoral photography, and of course, we use nitrous oxide and oral sedation for the highest level of patient comfort and relaxation.
My name is Dr. Charlie Adelson, and I am a periodontist, owner, and co-partner with my father, Dr. Harvey Adelson.
I am actually stunned that he is that bad. What is it with these Adelsons? Wendy with her terrible public speaking. Charlie Adelson cannot talk to camera. And I agree that many people find it difficult. It is difficult. I remember when I first did it, it was like, and not on YouTube, on some other things, similar to this. I'll have to dig that out of the archives. It is difficult. It is strange. But you either get it or you don't. And you do not release this.
Who's a cosmetic dentist.
My name is Charles Adelson, and I am a periodontist. I just can't get enough of it. It's so satisfying.
My name is Dr. Charlie Adelson, and I am a...
I love the glance up. You cannot glance up. What is he glancing up at? That's not where the light is. Is someone holding up a cue card so that he can remember his own name? My name is Dr.
And I am a periodontist, owner.
Owner, yeah, anything else? Playboy. My name is Dr. Charles Adelson, and I am a periodontist, owner, sex criminal. I am a sex criminal, but only in Colombia and the Virgin Islands.
And relaxation.
My name is Dr. Charlie Adelson, and I am a periodontist, owner, and co-partner with
narcissistic abuser of women. Yeah. I'm a born liar, but not that great at it. I just have no scruples.
my father, Dr. Harvey Adelson, who's a cosmetic dentist. What I love about what I do is being able to restore people's...
That when he said love, it was just such, he really, you could tell that he was really feeling how much he loves what he does, right? What I love about what I do.
Adelson, who's a cosmetic dentist. What I love about what I do is being able to restore people's smiles and change the way they chew, change the way they live, and change their self-esteem and how they think about themselves on a daily basis. When a patient comes to my office, they're being treated like family, and it's also being a team approach.
Yeah, until they have the bill, and then they leave, and then their fucking teeth fall out, and they sue us and give us a bad Yelp review. Now, who was that person the other day? We wrote it down. Who was that person the other day? It was... Shit. You hear all those notes? That's how many notes we make. I don't find it. But it was something... Barbara Caffini. The parallel with Katie's script, where he got the idea about how to instruct Katie McBanawa to deal with the Undercover, right? Oh, thank you so much, Victoria Girl, for the fantastic super chat. Look at that, Germany. Here comes Metrix. Yeah, we are going on tour. By the way, well, I can't say that here. I'll ruin the surprise. It's okay. It's okay. we won't say that now. What were we saying? Thank you, Victoria Girl. That's very mighty kind of you to support the very first international Metrix tour. We're heading to Cologne. Yeah, what was I saying? The inspiration for Charlie Adelson's instruction to Katie McBanawa as how to deal with the Sammy guy, the Undercover, the bump guy, was that Barbara Caffini came into the office and said, listen, what did she say? It was just very clear cut. It was like, okay, this is what's going to happen. These are your options. You're either going to put that money in the account, or we're going to the Board of Dentistry and we're filing a lawsuit against the Adelson Institute. But it wasn't so much the content of that. It was just the no-nonsense. We're not going to get into a fucking debate about this, okay? I'm not interested in arguing with you. One of these two things is going to happen. You're either going to put that money in the account, or we're going to the Board of Dentistry. And you could just tell that Charlie was mentioning that to Donna just before he went to see Katie at Dolce Vitae, as Daniel Rashbaum would say, and instructing her to say, I don't know what you're talking about. These people don't know what you're talking about. And frankly, I don't know what you're talking about, but the name sounds familiar. So I'm going to give you something as charity to help the less fortunate. But don't go to these people again, or they're calling the police. Yeah, we've got to go back and dig that out, because that's just, I say I hate going through the whole trial. But every so often we do find things that were missed. I've seen the trial at least 6 times all the way through, and then many other little bits and pieces here and there, right? But we miss things. When you're just taking in that massive amount of information on your own. And I like watching it with you guys because, you just stay tuned in more. You don't drift off so much. Well, sometimes that happens, but we try not to.
Where the hygienist, the cosmetic dentist, and the periodontist are all working together to give them the optimal result.
My name is Jennifer Catchill. I've been coming here for about 10 years. My experiences have been very positive. The staff is very professional. I came here 10 years ago to get my veneers put on, and I've been absolutely thrilled with the results. And I can't say how wonderful and professional the staff has just been. They've been really, really caring and just amazing. I would definitely recommend this place to others. I have actually recommended for people to come here. My husband has come here as well.
My name is Clint Stevenson. I've been coming to Dr. Adelson's office for about 5.5 years now. They've been phenomenal. I'm never a big fan of the dentist, but ever since I got introduced to this office, great staff, very friendly, and I always feel like I'm taken care of well. Very professional. Every time I come here, I feel like I get the foremost from their attention from the staff, and Dr. Adelson is himself as well. So it's a great experience every time I come. I look forward to it as well. I highly recommend them.
I recommend him too. Okay, back to court.
April 21, 2016, correct?
Yes.
The next day, you have a call with your mother. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
During that call with your mother, do you recall asking her whether Dad had told her everything that you told him the night before?
Yeah.
Overruled, you can answer the question, does not get into the substance of. You may continue.
Yes, I asked her, had my dad told her everything that I talked with him at dinner about.
And on that call, what again do you tell your mom, even with what you had told your dad the night before?
Objection, hearsay.
Well, I'm going to allow him to answer the question as long as it's not going to get into an out-of-court statement. You may answer the question.
That it's not done this way, I know for a fact. And I'm 99% sure it is what I thought it was.
What was the basis for you telling your mom that?
I wanted to calm her down and tell her that I'm more sure that it's the police. The basis was the guy that sat next to us at the restaurant who went to the sushi restaurant and wanted to eat a California roll and was real rude.
Okay. Now I want to go to April 23rd. Okay. April 23rd. Judge, may we go sidebar very briefly?
Approach.
Do you find on April 23rd, do you find out later in the day that a letter has been sent to your parents' home?
The letter was
That your parents received a letter on April 23rd.
it was on a Monday. Was that the 23rd?
Can we show what exhibit is the letter? Do you have the letter?
I believe this is already entered into evidence.
It is. Do you have the letter? 79. We'll look at it after. I can't find it. Will you take my word that the letter was received by your parents on April 23rd?
Sure.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah, I think it was Monday the 25th.
Ah, you're right. Don't take my word. The letter was received on April 25th.
That I will agree with.
Okay. Now, on April 23rd, did you find out that Catherine Magbanawa and Sigfredo Garcia were in a big fight?
Yeah, I did, actually.
And did you learn that Catherine Magbanawa had left him?
Yeah, I believe when I called her on the phone, she said she took her shit and left.
Now, on the 23rd, when you find that out, were you upset?
Yeah.
Why were you upset?
Well, at this point in time, Katie had been protecting me in the first extortion. With Katie being with Sigfredo Garcia, that was the best chance I had to try to stop the second extortion or to find out who's behind it. And then it also made me think that the timing of their explosive breakup and the timing of the guy extorting my mom and the fact that I had just found out on Wednesday, the 20th, that Sigfredo was behind what happened to me was very suspicious. So it opened the door in my head to thinking, like, what if Katie's, what if she's breaking up with him because she found out that he's behind the extortion of my mom and she doesn't want to tell me? So my mind was going there.
And then 2 days later, the letter arrives at your parents' apartment, right?
Yes, on that Monday.
Okay, so let's talk about that Monday, April 25th. Where were you working that day?
I was actually working in that office in South Beach, just a couple blocks away.
And after work, where did you go?
I went over to my parents' house to stop off.
What happened when you got to your parents' house?
My parents were really shaken up because they got a very threatening letter mailed to them saying that you don't take me serious and Tato is fucked and soon you will be fucked too. And it was mailed to their apartment. So now they're saying, who's ever doing this, they know where we live, not just the building. They know the apartment number. Like this, they were scared.
Did your parents think that the letter was more threatening or less threatening than the original communication on the street?
Way more threatening.
And what did you do after you found out about the letter?
After I found out about the letter, I called Katie because I'm thinking, like, this has to be Sigfredo. Like, they're fighting and he was behind what happened to me. Not that this has to be, but, like, it was real suspicious and I wanted to see what her feelings were. And she was avoiding me. I tried to see Katie on Thursday. I tried to have her come to my office, to either one of the offices I was working at. She wouldn't come. Tried to have her come on Friday. She wouldn't come. I wanted to see if she wanted to see me Saturday. She was avoiding me. And then it just all was lining up it was making me question a lot.
Now, the state put in M. Is that a call that you had with Katie about meeting with her, and this is after the letter arrives?
Yeah, I wanted her to come down to meet me.
Did she agree to meet with you on the evening of the 25th?
Yeah, she drove down to where I was at.
Where did you meet with her?
I met her at my parents' building. I was downstairs.
Did you meet her around the same place that you had met with your mom after the bump?
Yeah.
What did you do when you met? Did you stay in one spot or did you go someplace?
No, we just went for a walk along the sidewalk, along the water, and we walked probably a good 30, 40 minutes maybe.
What did you discuss on your walk?
I confronted her and asked her, do you think that this is Sigfredo that's doing this to my mom? And she again said, no, absolutely not. I'm like, but come on, can you tell me? Because you guys are fighting, and I know he was behind now what happened to me. Is this what you guys are fighting about? Do you not want to tell me? And she was adamant that it wasn't him. And then I said, well, what about Tato? What about Luis Rivera? And she said, it doesn't seem like something he would do. This is not how he would do it. She said, but he is incarcerated, and Sigfredo did bring him on. He is the one who killed Dan. Is maybe one of his people is trying to do an extortion off of something that he thinks was a murder for hire, because whoever it is writing this thinks it was a murder for hire, which it wasn't. So I opened up that possibility, and she said, well, probably not, but she said, it could be, it's probably the police. She still was like, it's the police, but it could be a copycat.
What did she tell you that she would do?
She was going to call the number, and I was like, you haven't called yet. And she said no, she hadn't. So I'm like, can you please call the number and see if you know these people and see if you can get it to stop?
After you did how long were you with her this evening on this walk where you're having this discussion?
I mean, it was probably 30 minutes there and 30 minutes back, and we sat for like 10 minutes. So, I mean, it was over an hour for sure, hour and a half.
When she left, did you stay in South Beach?
Yeah, and I tried to get her to call the number by telling her, like, my parents are going to go to the police. Like, they are going to go if you don't give them some peace of mind and find out that, confirm for me.
By the way, this is April 25th. Is that the last time that you saw Catherine Magbanua in person?
Yes.
Now, after you meet with her that night, do you meet with your parents again?
Yeah, I went over. My parents were actually at my sister's apartment, which was a few blocks away. So when I got done there, I sat for a little while, and then I went over to my sister's apartment.
When you went to your sister's apartment, was she there?
No, she wasn't.
And who did you meet with?
My mom came downstairs. My dad stayed up in the apartment because the kids were sleeping.
Why did you meet with your mom alone outside of the apartment? What was your mom and dad afraid of?
I think that what they didn't want was Wendy coming home and then starting to question what's going on.
What did you tell your mom when you met with her?
I told her that I talked to Katie, and she does not think that it's Sigfredo, and she still thinks it's the police, and that she's going to look into it on the chance that it's a copycat, and it's a second layer of extortion.
Now, April 26th, the government put in Exhibit O, which is a call between Sigfredo Garcia and Catherine Magbanua, and they put in a text message, which is P and Q, which are text messages between them. You recall that?
Yes.
And I know you weren't privy to this in real time, but those calls and text messages show that the two of them are fighting still, right?
Yeah.
And as a result of that, strike that, Your Honor. During those calls, what is Catherine Magbanua trying to get Sigfredo Garcia to do?
She wants him to call the
She wants him to call the who?
number.
The number. She wants him to call the number. Yeah, right, okay. Thank you, Victoria Girl, for the Haka Shore Calabeer Fund. Wow. That's a whole lot of calabeer. Thank you so much, Victoria Girl.
Now, the next morning, and this is R, 10:30 a.m., you have a call with your mom. Do you recall that?
Or bratwurst. I tell you, the best place to eat in Germany, after living there for 2 years, is outside the hardware store. What's it called? Hornbach. They have this little truck, and there you get a bratwurst in Brötchen and pommes with Senf. It's the best. They're just fried potatoes, but the bratwurst in the bread, and the mustard, and it's like $5. Best place to eat in Germany, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, what date is that?
April 26th now.
Okay.
And you talk about whether she feels better about the things you told her last night. What were the things you told her last night?
I told her that it's the police, and that you're not going to be harmed. You're not in any danger. And my mom was hung up on the fact that the person was ratcheting up their threats, making deliveries to their apartment, telling them that they're going to be fucked if they don't pay up.
And there's some discussion about the letter being written like a girl. You remember that?
The beginning part of it was like a girl. The second part sounded real tough.
And so what did you mean about the beginning part of it being written like a girl?
If this guy's saying that...
Charlie Adelson is an expert in identifying a gender from a letter. You remember when he said, "Girls don't even drink bourbon. They'll drink a vodka or they'll have a glass of wine." Clearly, he has never been to Kentucky.
He's a Latin king. I can't imagine a Latin king writing "you don't care" as a phrase. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't mean it's not a copycat, but it doesn't sound like that's who it is, who she thinks it is.
You see, why were we wasting our time with lead investigator, special agent, what's his goddamn name? Pat Sanford. Why were we wasting our time with him, listening to him? Charlie Adelson is able to identify who is a woman, who is or is not a Latin king, just by their text messages. I mean, we should obviously find him not guilty and then give him a job with the CIA, identifying text messages from all over the world. Drug lords, terrorist cell syndicates, and just anything. Just give this guy a text, and he'll tell you the age, name, gender, occupation of the author of that message. This message was written by a veterinarian, 42 years old, from either Connecticut or New Hampshire. Somewhere leafy. I can tell because they
At the end of this call, and this is R again, around 2 minutes in, you say, one, they weren't the same person, without a doubt. Listen, I know. I actually do know how these things are done, and that was the same thing that I said. It is not done like this. Your mom says, yeah, that is what you explained. And you say, no, it is 48 hours. You recall that?
Exactly, yes.
When you say they aren't the same person, what are you saying?
I'm saying it's not the same people that extorted me that are extorting you. It's clearly not the same as the first extortion.
And when you say it's 48 hours, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to what happened to me on July 18th when I was told you got 48 hours or we're going to kill you.
My lush life. Hello. How you doing, my lush life? Oh, Carly York has questions. I could not watch this part when Charlie trial was live. Just such outrageous storytelling. I know, we've got a great video coming out soon where we tell his story without all these kind of gaps, and we're just going to put it together in a succinct, flowing fashion with visual aids without, I'm going to tell it. We'll throw in a few clips of the man himself, but basically just to discover exactly what it was, because I think we're all still a little lost. Imagine how the jury felt. What else does Carly York say? Does TCM know this case as well as Charlie, Donna, or probably Wendy? I'd say so. I've done nothing else since 2018. Yeah, I mean, Wendy doesn't watch anything, of course. Also not to listen. Don't read. Oh, she's just such a fucking loon, isn't she? What is wrong with that woman? I mean, I really flip-flop with her, It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to imagine that she's not completely fucking mentally deranged, or, like in the sense of insanity. We throw narcissist, psychopath, sociopath. I think we decided pretty fucking clearly the other day when we went through our little comparison chart that she is so much more of a psychopath than a sociopath. Let's look it up again. Maybe let's do a couple of these, just see if we can really get down to the bones. Where is it? So I want to share an image. That's what we want to do. Wow, do you remember the other day when Judge Everett did this pose? How great was that? I think I screenshotted that. Hang on. For anyone who missed it, let's show you the side by side. Have we got it? Yes, look. Amy, I don't think you were here for this. You'll love this. Judge Everett, the Redeemer. Is it not exactly the same? I'm gonna send it to one of our fantastic moderators right now. Oh, I just love him. Now, does anybody know... Oh, I also can't say this on the air. It will ruin the surprise. God damn it. Okay, so Wendy Adelson, sociopathy analysis. Lack of remorse, but guilt and empathy may be present in some cases. I would say no. Some emotions are felt, rage, that are shallow and fleeting. Well, I know that she has rage. but I don't think it's shallow and fleeting. I think it's deeply ingrained and permanent. So definitely not shallow and fleeting. So also no. May form close attachments to one or few individuals. I say no. All of her attachments are in service of something else. None of them are genuine close attachments, not a single one. So also no. Consistent irresponsibility and repeated violations of law. Consistent irresponsibility. Well, yes, Jeff Lacasse testified that she was getting wasted on her own, drinking a bottle and a half of Chateau Poivre, on her own, falling down in the bathroom and bruising up all her arm when she's got the kids. That's pretty irresponsible, right? Locking herself out of her own house constantly, pretty irresponsible. Although probably intentional, so that she can be some damsel in distress. Excuse me. Yeah, so consistently irresponsible, yes. Repeated violations of law, well, certainly. But in a kind of covert way, but it's still a yes, isn't it? So yes. Constant lying and deception, absolutely. Aggressive and reckless behavior. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Aggressive, yes. Reckless, yes. Okay, so 3 out of 6 of the criterion for sociopathy. Now let's go to psychopathy. Lack of guilt, remorse, or empathy. Yes. Pretending to feel emotions. Yes. Inability to form true emotional attachments. Yes. Tend to be successful. Well, fake success, but she does certainly get on those boards and panels and what have you. So I suppose dishonesty. Does Rose Kennedy have a black dress? Yes. Manipulative behavior, narcissism, and superficial charm. Yes. Absolutely. Have we got another one of these ready to go? What about this one? This one looks more in depth. Okay. Oh, thank you, my lush, my lush life, for oh, Frank, I sent an email regarding travel plans, expenses for TCM. Okay, I'll have a look at that in a second. Thank you for the super chat, my lush life. So what does this one tell us? Ooh, it's kind of small. Many people use these words interchangeably as if they meant the same thing. However, there are very blah 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 blah. Yeah, we know. Definition: psychopath is someone who gets the disorder because of a generic predisposition. Sociopath definition: sociopath displays antisocial behavior because of environmental factors. I don't think that's accurate at all. I think they both have a genetic predisposition as well as learned environmental factors, don't they? You know, I think some people have the genetic predisposition to be a psychopath, but, you know, Wendy Adelson could have got help with that. She made a choice to embrace that predisposition. So here it says psychopaths, they can't feel empathy or be part of a loving relationship, don't have a conscience, and are unable to feel guilt. Yes, absolutely. They are excellent at understanding and mimicking human emotions. I don't think she's that good at it, but she certainly tries. Rarely commit violent crimes. Really? What? I don't like this one at all. This doesn't seem very accurate to me. If a psychopath is going to commit a crime, he's going to be very precise and plan it very carefully. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Sociopath, they can form quite normal relationships and even have legitimate close friends. Blah, 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 blah. I don't like this one at all. I'm hiding it. I'm not even finishing it. Fuck it.
We then go to State's Exhibit S, which is later that same day. And you learn that your dad didn't go to work that day.
Yeah.
Why were you upset about that?
Because I knew how this extortion was affecting them. I mean, my dad's probably missed 2 sick days in the last 20 years, and he's afraid he's going to get killed in the parking lot of him walking into his office because he's getting extorted by some Latin King gang member at this point, and he's afraid to go to work. So even though they're telling me they're okay, I know when my dad's not going to work, there's something seriously wrong.
And your mom asks you whether you ever checked the phone number I gave you last night. Again, what is she referring to?
She's saying, did you follow up on this? Is this person really a dangerous person?
Your mom then starts talking about fixing bridges. And you say, Mom, just stop with the fucking nonsense because I really don't want to come down there anymore. What are you frustrated with her about?
I'm frustrated. My mom's trying to talk carefully, and I understand that. But I'm letting her know, like, this is the police. Like, I do not think you're in any danger. This is not the same as the extortion that I dealt with. They're not approaching you the same way I was approached. There's so many things that are different. Like, I keep telling them, like, this is the police. You're not in any danger. And she's fixated, and I understand. So they're older, and someone's sending a letter to the house saying you're going to be fucked if you don't pay up. They're scared.
You say 7 minutes and 18 seconds into the call. It's not like, oh, we'll get one of them and the other one will start paying. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. What are you referring to?
That's what my mom's theory was, is that they're going to get her and they're going to hurt her, and then someone else, and then they'll go to someone else in the family, and then they'll start paying them.
You then say, first of all, they don't give you a number. I mean, everything is so traceable. They also weren't disguised. Again, you say 10 seconds later, this is not how it's done. What are you reiterating over and over and over to your mom?
Is that these people aren't hiding who they are. And for 2 years, I was not given a name. I wasn't given phone numbers. These people have traceable devices. They're not hiding. It's not done like this. This is different. And then they kept saying, well, what if you're wrong? And that's what kept me looking into it.
Then we go to T. And by the way, T, just to be clear, S was a call with your mom, and that call is at 4:00 p.m. It lasts 15 minutes long. And then T is at 4:33 p.m. of the same day. And this was the first call you had with Katie after you met with her, right?
Yeah.
Again, Katie is talking about a client and property, right?
Yes, she is.
And she asks you for a number. Did you have the number on you?
No.
How were you going to get the number?
I figured I'd just call my mom up and see if she had the phone number. I'd get it for Katie.
And on you, you try to get the number from your mom, right?
Yes, I called her.
And did your mom have the number?
No, she said that she had given it to me.
Everyone okay? Technology.
Please continue.
Okay. Let's move on to W. Actually, we'll skip W. Now we go to the next day. The next day, you have a call with Catherine. This is X. You have a call with Catherine Magbanua at 10:42 in the morning. And to kind of spur your memory so that we don't have to play it again, this is the Drake call.
Oh.
Do you recall that call?
I recall it.
Okay. And during this call, there's some discussion about helping her out with a vacation. What was that about?
She had asked me, and it's on the wires before the bump. She wanted to go down to the Keys, and there's a place that I would stay at that I have a connection to, and I could get a room really inexpensive. So she had reached out to me if whether or not I could call up and get that connection for her. And I said, you know what, I'm going to pay for it for you. So I said, wherever you go, I'm going to take care of it.
Yeah, wherever you go, you want the owner's villa, the owner's, what does he call it? Cottage or whatever? What does he call it? I think it's a cottage, right? It's a cottage if you're in the Keys? Yeah, you can get the owner's cottage in the Keys. Wherever you go, just send me the bill. I'm giving you $3,000 in cash every month, and I'm muddying up the payment records for my business, doing dodgy tax stuff. But also, as well, I would like to pay for your special trip to the Keys. And, not just put you in any hotel, you will be staying in the owner's cottage. I'm keeping you happy.
Judge, can we briefly go sidebar again?
Very briefly.
Very
Please approach.
Sorry about the typing. There's just so much going on, There's just so much going on. Look at those mighty super chats at the top there. Thank you again, Victoria Girl. That is some good stuff, and we appreciate it. By the way, who is this My Lush Life? Is it a channel? Have we missed that? The algorithm has failed us again, Soap. My Lush Life. Or maybe it's not a channel. It just sounds like a channel, doesn't it?
Now, one of the calls that's in evidence but was not played yesterday is Y, and that's a call to your mom your mom calls you at 12:25 p.m. On the 27th. There's some discussion about Miami Heat tickets. Do you recall that call?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Rather than play the whole call, let me just ask you some questions to see if you remember it.
Sure.
Do you recall offering your parents Miami Heat tickets?
Yeah,
Playoffs.
I knew somebody who wanted to sell their tickets, so I wanted to see if they wanted to go.
And they did not want to go, right?
Yeah, they didn't want to go.
And why didn't they want to go?
They were still really upset about being extorted and the letter that came to the house on Monday. This was the day after my dad took the day off of work and didn't go to work.
And again, what do you repeatedly tell your parents on this call?
I tell them that it's not done like this, that this is basically I tell them it's not the same people and that you have nothing to worry about.
Do you talk to them about the location they live and the timing of when the bump occurred?
Yeah, this is that call.
And what do you recall telling them about the location where they live and the timing of the bump?
What I was saying is that they live in a very small, safe area. For somebody to do that in the middle of the day, it makes me think that it's even more the police, because it would be so easy for them to get caught doing something that it's almost like these people don't care about getting caught.
Okay, so let's briefly recap before we go on. The letter comes on the 25th, right?
Yes.
And no one makes any payment.
No.
The bump had happened on the 19th and a week before, and no one made any payment, right?
No.
What's the next escalation point on April 28th? What happens next? What do the police do next?
The guy that came up to my mom on the street and wrote the letter to the house.
So My Lush Life says, I'm a channel. My videos are link. Is this code, My Lush Life? What does that mean?
Is now looking for her at work and calling her place of work and calling the office looking for her.
So, and this is, I believe, State Exhibit 107. Okay? Now, you're not on this call, right?
No, I think the guy called Erica.
Okay. And what happens after this call?
Is this the one where the undercover calls Erica?
Undercover calls Erica, and does someone call you after the undercover calls Erica?
Yeah, he said to Erica that I gave Mrs. Adelson some important papers last week, and she knows what this is about. She needs to call me. So then Erica called my mom and told her about this person that called the office, and my mom was scared because now they're tracking her down at work. And she called me up and she was really shaken.
Now, during this period of time, what had Catherine Magbanua been telling you about her calling the number?
She said she called the number, and she called another number, and nobody picked up.
So your mom calls you, and that's Z. That's Z. Correct. That's Z on April 28th at 9:42 a.m. And why did you tell your mom during that call that it's odd that the guy called the office? What was odd about it?
It was odd that he called the office because Katie had been telling me she's been calling the number. So it's odd that the guy's not picking up, but yet he's making phone calls.
after that call, there are a series of calls where you try to reach Catherine Magbanua, right?
Yes,
Why are you trying to reach her?
because I just heard that the guy's calling the office, and she said she'd called and the guy wasn't picking up, or she may have told me it was a non-working number. And I was driving into the office at the time, and I had limited time to try to handle this before I got into the office and became really busy.
Call AA, they played, the state played for the jury. That's a voicemail where you say, hey, it's me, it's important, call me, bye. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Now,
Well, thank you, my lush life. I got the link, but it says video unavailable. So maybe I'll have to put my VPN on if it's only available in the States. But I can't do that right now, so I'll have to check it out later. But thank you so much.
BB is on April 28th at 10:43 in the morning, and she calls you back, correct?
Yes, she called me back.
What does Katie, if you remember, and I can play it for you if you need it, what does Katie first tell you about the phone number when you call her back, when she calls you back?
She says it's a non-working number, and that it's a Gmail number, and it's been called 100 times.
Lynn says, I don't get his theory that it's the cops. Okay, who were the cops trying to go after if not you? No, he's saying it's the cops. He's saying that they are going after them, that they're fishing, that they have some suspicion. His theory is that if they had anything solid against them, then they would just be brought in, arrested, or at least contacted and requested to come in for interview. That's his hope. It's a very selective hope. I've said this before, that Charlie and Donna, unfortunately for them, have this like switch in their mind. They so do not want to entertain an idea that the cops really have something on them, that they kind of push that possibility to the side. Like wishfully saying, yeah, well, if they had any real evidence, they'd come and fucking arrest us. It's almost like they just don't want to go to that place where it's like, okay, now we're in real trouble. They're hopefully selective about how to deal with the options here. So it doesn't really make good sense, you're right. But his thinking is that it is the cops, they are looking into them, but the fact that they're doing it, excuse me, the fact that they're doing it in this way is an indicator that they don't really have anything. And as long as they play it well and don't say anything incriminating and then the cops are just fishing and they're not going to get anything, which is kind of ironic because they're really, really bad at talking about this on the phone or being followed and talking about it in public, like at Dolce Vita and Matsuri when Charlie met with Harvey. You know, when a guy comes into a sushi restaurant and sits on his own at a table near you, single diner on his own in a sushi restaurant, says to the waitress, what kind of salads do you have here? Okay, so this guy just decided at 9 o'clock at night to go to an expensive sushi restaurant on his own for a salad in the evening, in the quite late evening for eating, right? And one California roll, which is the least sushi type of sushi that there is. And Charlie Adelson was right to be suspicious of that. Of course, it could be. You know what I think I'll do when I'm in Miami? Is I'm going to find a real nice sushi restaurant. Is Matsuri still open? Let's look it up. Matsuri, Miami. I'm going to find a real nice sushi restaurant and go there on my own at 9 o'clock at night and have a salad and a California roll. Oh, it is still open. 4.5 stars. Why don't we check out their menu? I always like to check out the menus of the places that are... Ooh, look at this. Oh, we need scrolling. Here we go. Explore authentic Japanese cuisine. I don't know, the fish in the picture doesn't look very fresh to me. I mean, is that the best picture you could have? What's that thing on the left? Is that cooked? I just think they could have a much better picture there. It doesn't look fresh. It doesn't look particularly vibrant. Excuse me. Particularly vibrant. What are we doing? Menus? Okay, so there it is in Miami. So there's South Beach. Coral Gables. Bird Road. So a stone's throw away from the... oh, here we go. This is it. Check out our English menu. You get all that for $7? No way. Or is that $7 a piece? Well, the website sucks. Let's go to their Instagram. Oh, then I gotta log in. Okay, I'm not doing that. Forget it. We'll check it out in person at 9 o'clock. We'll see what kind of salads they have.
Do you understand her to be saying when she says it's a non-working number?
That like when you call a number, it rings and then you hear like a long beep and that no one's able to pick it up and it's not an active line.
Later in this call, BB, she then tells you that she's been calling the number and it just rings. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When she tells you that, how do you feel?
I know she's lying to me because it's either going to be non-working or it's ringing. It can't be both. And the guy's calling the office. So.
And at that point in time, I think Miss Kappelman termed it as things got stressful. You started to get upset with her, right?
Yeah, I know she's lying to me.
And as you're finding out that she's lying to you, what do you start to think?
I start to think that this could be Sigfredo, and that's why she's kind of covering and not wanting to come meet me when I keep asking her to come meet me. I think she found out that it's him, and she's just BSing me.
Now, at some point after the argument in the middle of the call, you soften and you say, if someone's messing with you, they're messing with me. Why do you do that?
Because at that point, I wanted her to know that, like.
Yeah, the answer is he's saying, listen, my problems are your problems, so you better come up with a solution to my problems. If someone's messing with you, they're messing with me. If someone's messing with me, they're messing with you. Now give me a call when he's dead. get Sigfredo to go and pull this guy's head off his shoulders, and call me when it's done, and we're safe.
I'm on your side. I'm not trying to set you up. I'm not turning anybody in. Like, I know you're innocent. I had nothing to do with this. I know you had nothing to do with it, but I need your help, and that's why I'm calling her, is for help.
At the end of the call, what does she tell you she'll do? What does she tell you to do?
At the end of the call, she says you call for that number. I'm like, fine, I'll call. I don't know any of these people. I don't think anyone's going to be afraid of me. But at this point, I don't care. I said, you know what? Let me just call the number, and when I get to the office and I have a break, I'm going to call them.
Now, does she tell you, like she did with Sigfredo on a later call? Does she tell you, make sure you don't call from your cell phone?
No.
Does she tell you, like she did with Sigfredo on a later call, make sure you call from a landline?
No.
And you call from your cell phone, correct?
I did, yes.
Now, before you call from your cell phone, you do *67. Why did you do *67?
In the event that it's a bad guy, I thought it would prevent him from having my cell phone number.
By the way, in DD, when you're going back and forth, because there's some calls between you and her.
In the event that it's a bad guy, I didn't want him to have my cell phone number. Charlie, this bad guy just appeared in the middle of your mother's day, right outside her residence, when she was on the way to pick up the children. Right? Your cell phone number is not an issue here, okay? They've got eyes on. If it's a bad guy, they're pretty, they're not looking for your cell phone number. They know where you live, son, okay? In the event that it was a bad guy, I dialed *67 so that he wouldn't know my number. He doesn't need your number. He has your address.
Trying to get the number and...
Christina, hello. And Michael Crawford. Ooh, that just sounds like a very educated name. What do you do for a living, Michael Crawford? Mr. Crawford? Or is it Professor Crawford?
Seeing if the caller ID, if there's caller ID at the dental practice. She says to you, you want me to call from my fucking phone, and you say, I can care less where you call from. And she says, exactly. Why do you not care where either of you are calling from?
Because if it's the police, it's fine. I'm worried about if it's not the police.
And why do you think that it doesn't matter where she calls from?
Because I don't think she's involved in the extortion of me or the murder of Dan Markel.
At 1:51, a minute and 51 seconds into DD, and again, DD is that same morning, April 28th, you say to her, they can listen to whatever conversations they want. You're talking about calling on your phone. Quote, they can listen to whatever conversations they want. Why do you not care about anyone hearing what you're talking about?
Because we weren't involved in a murder. We're trying to figure out who's behind the second extortion and if my family's in any danger. If it's the police, let them listen in. That's fine.
Now I want to play FF, and that's the call to the Undercover.
Yeah.
here we go.
Hello?
Hola, diga. Hello?
Diga.
Hi, who is this?
Who's this?
Someone's been calling my family. I'm trying to figure out who this is.
In reference to what, man?
Someone by the name of Sammy called.
Yeah, that's me, man.
All right, what's going on?
Well, what's going on is my brother Tato. Okay, my brother Tato has not been taken care of. His family's not been taken care of. I talked to a dentist. Why are you calling me? Who are you? I gave the number to a lady.
I don't know Tato.
You don't know Tato? I'm
No.
sure you know Katie and Tuto. They've been taken care of since the family problem been taken care of up north.
I don't know who you are.
You don't? Well, this
No.
isn't going away, my friend. Because let me tell you something. I was at Broward with Tato, and he told me the whole story. He told me nobody was taking care of him. Nobody was taking care of his family. The family was taking care of Katie and Tuto, and nothing's been taken care of with Tato. So we know what's going on. And Tato.
I think this is the most convincing performance that we hear from Sammy, the Undercover, right? It's done way better than the call with Donna. It's done way better than the meeting with Donna. I wonder why that is.
Tato needs to be taken care of. Do the right thing. The lady already has the paperwork. She knows what I'm talking about. We know Katie. We know Tuto. We know they've been taken care of.
All right, let me look into things.
No more fucking around, man. No more fucking around. This ain't going away. You guys need to do the right thing for Tato. That's my brother, man. That's my brother, and he needs to be taken care of. His family needs to be taken care of, just like Katie and Tuto have been taken care of.
I've never met these people, but let me call you back, okay?
That's bullshit, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know this lady. I don't know your relationship with this lady, but we know what the fuck is going on. This ain't going away. Take care of that.
So what Charlie Adelson just said there, I've never met these people, but let me call you back, okay? I mean, in what possible, what is the least guilty version of meaning that could have? It's just amazing to me. I mean, he wants to say, I have never met these people. Like, I don't know anything about what you're talking about. So why would you want to call him back? You know, the innocent person would be saying, listen, yeah, I know Katie. What the fuck? Whatever you've been told, you are barking up the wrong tree, man. You think, why don't you just tell me what it is that you've been told? Because I'm not going to listen to you talking in these riddles. What is this? If you can't tell me, my next call is to the cops. Anything short of that would be ridiculous.
Exactly what I'm talking about. You know this lady. I don't know your relationship with this lady, but we know what the fuck is going on. This ain't going away. Take care of Tato just like you take care of Katie and Tuca, man.
So it's Father's Day today, huh? In the States. So what is the deal with that? It's the third Sunday or what? Of June? Of course, Father's Day weekend, 2014 was when the beach meeting happened. How many Sundays have there been? Yeah, the 1st of June was a Sunday. Is it the 3rd Sunday? Is that how it works?
Now, in hours and hours of The Wire, this is probably the quietest you've ever been. Why?
I was looking to get information from him. I wasn't looking to give him any information about me or anything. And he was pretty scary too. I was talking to him on the phone.
Now, when he starts speaking and he says things like in reference to and do the right thing, what did that make you believe?
He sounded educated. He didn't sound like a Latin King gang member.
And after this call, going to GG, you have an 11-minute call with Kate, correct?
I do, yeah.
Now, you're not very good with names, are you?
I'm horrible with names.
So on that 11-minute call, not only do you again get the names Tuto and Tato confused, but now you start calling this undercover, whose name is Sammy, Simon, right?
Yeah, I changed his name by accident.
Did you do it on purpose to hide anything?
No, I'm just bad with names.
Now, you say to Katie that you told him you don't even know who these people are and you don't know what he's talking about. Why is it important for you to tell Katie that?
Well, because I don't want Katie to think that I'm trying to set her up or set her friends up, and I'm keeping quiet. But in the same time, I'm going to her for help, and I'm letting her know, like, the guy picked up the phone as soon as I called him.
There's some conversation on this call about her working at the office. Did Katie ever work at your office?
No, never.
So when she brings up on this call working at your office, why do you kind of just say, yeah, you're a great worker at the office, or whatever you say? Why do you not say, Katie, I don't know what you're talking about. You've never worked at the office.
Yeah, if I would have talked bluntly and said you don't work at the office and what the checks were for and that she was cashing them, she would have known I was setting her up or setting her friends up.
You say things on the call like, I might have the wrong Katie. It might be another Katie. Why do you tell her that?
Because when I called her back, she got like really quiet, like almost like she sounded like she wasn't trusting me, and almost like she was suspecting me of trying to set her and her friends up, and that's why I really pushed to say, like, hey, I'm not setting you up, and talk to her like that.
What was all that you cared about at this point in time?
I just wanted the extortion to stop.
And when you say you just wanted the extortion to stop, who were you worried about? What were you worried about?
Well, I was worried that, my parents were really upset. I was worried that my parents were going to go to the police and cash the second extortion, or go to the police and end up having to tell them about what happened to me in the first place. And then I was going to have to worry about the original extortion coming after me. And at this point, I know that it involves the head of the Latin Kings and Sigfredo Garcia. And I wasn't going to talk to the police.
You talked to her about the guy coming up with details. What details did he come up with on this call?
He knew about payment.
You specifically tell her that he mentioned her name, or a Katie. Why do you tell her that?
Because I'm letting her know this involves you. Like, I need your help, but this guy has details that are wrong, but he has details.
And on this call and some others, what do you tell her about your parents?
I tell her that my parents are close to going to the police to try to get her to help me.
Now, does Katie have any idea at this point in time, any idea whatsoever, that your mom had known for 21 months about the original extortion?
No, that's what I've been lying to Katie about and telling her that my parents have no idea what happened to me, and I just tell them it's a long story and I can't talk about it.
Okay. Exhibit II is already in evidence. On that call, it's a call between Katie and Sigfredo. Katie is filling Sigfredo in, correct?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And on that call, 1 minute and 47 seconds into the call, she says to Sigfredo, and like they're very, very close to reporting it already. What is she talking about?
She's letting him know what I've been telling her is that my parents are going to go to the police if you can't get these friends of yours to either stop and contact them.
I want to take a couple seconds and dissect this statement. You understand that the state's theory is that Katie, Sigfredo, and Luis Rivera conspired not only with you, but also with your sister and your parents to kill Professor Markel. You understand that, right?
That's their theory.
And you understand that here...
That's their theory. That's their crazy theory.
Katie is telling Sigfredo, I'm worried that they're going to go to the police. She's not telling it to you, she's telling it to Sigfredo Garcia. Is that what's happening here?
That's exactly what's happening.
Now, the state, you've heard it in this trial, says Katie tried to silo people, right? Nonetheless, Katie is telling Sigfredo that the very people that, according to the state, are co-conspirators for her are going to go to the police and report what? Does it make any sense?
No, not at all.
I'm going to go to JJ now, and that's the same day at 1:46. About 15 minutes later, Sigfredo Garcia calls Katie back. And during this call, he says he's going to get rid of his phone. And Katie tells him not to call from his phone or from the office. Because he says, what does he say he's going to do?
I think he's going to call the person who's extorting my family.
Now, before this point in time, Katie has told you that he and she, or at least she, has called the number how many times?
She said it's been called 100 times. She said it's non-working, it's a Gmail number.
Moving to later in the day, LL. This is a call between you and Katie. The call begins with her again saying that she called the number. Did you find out later through discovery that she never called the number?
Yeah.
Acapella. Say something funny right now. Welcome back, Acapella.
Many years later, I found out.
She then says that Sigfredo Garcia left a message. Did you find out in discovery that no message was ever left?
Yeah, they were lying. I found out years later.
Yeah, it defies belief, doesn't it, Patsy Cline, to imagine Phil Markel, Ruth Markel, Shelley Markel sitting there listening to this guy. This guy took this absolute nonsensical, blatant horseshit in order to evade the consequences of his insane action of sending hitmen to murder Professor Markel for nothing, for a reason that has no, that doesn't begin to approach anything that you could say. I mean, you know, not that anything would make the action suitable to have him murdered, but imagine if Professor Markel was a wife beater or something terrible, you know, like that, you know, and the Adelson family had just had enough of his physical abuse to their daughter. Something like that, you could say, well, it doesn't make it okay, but there's, you know, there's some reason. But it wasn't the case. He was just a guy that loved his sons and his work and, you know, 41 years old. That's it. Just amazing. And now this guy, sitting here, 47 years old, already has lived 6 years more than Professor Markel will ever. Just unbelievable. So yeah, for Phil, and I wouldn't have been able to do it. To sit, you know, I'd if I was Phil Markel, and I'm not saying he should do what I would do, but at his age, I would just pull Charlie Adelson's head off his body. You know, send me to jail. Fine.
Now, during this call, by the way, did you know they were lying at the time?
No, I thought she was telling me the truth.
During this call, you say, I don't want anyone to go to jail because you know what? People get mad when they go to jail and they feel like they have somebody to get back at. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, I do.
Why did you tell her that?
I wanted to let her know that I'm not going to the police and I'm not turning anybody in.
On a later call, do you recall saying what you thought the police could do to protect you?
I think I thought the police couldn't protect me.
Do you recall saying to Katie, I'll give you a secret?
Can I inquire what call we're referencing?
I'll move on, Your Honor. We'll do it tomorrow.
You've got a few more minutes. You might as well make use of it while you got it.
I got other stuff to do today.
Go ahead.
Yes, there is static. That's on the recording. It's just part of the video.
There's discussions on some of these calls about meeting Katie. Did you ever meet her?
No, the last time I saw her was that Monday, April 25th.
Now we get to 00, and that's the same day in the evening, and it's a call with your mom. And to refresh your memory on the call so that I don't have to play the whole thing, the call starts with you saying, "I'd rather not talk on the phone," and then you talk on the phone for 41 minutes. Do you recall that?
I do.
You say to your mom not to worry, that you're 99% sure of it. What are you sure of?
I'm sure it's the police.
Why are you so sure of it at this point in time?
Because I'd spoken to the Undercover, and when I spoke to him, I realized this is obviously not Sigfredo Garcia. And the way the guy spoke on the phone, and again, how different he was than how a real Latin king would be. He's not who he says he is. And at that point, I feel very strongly it's the police at that point.
And again, you describe why you don't think it's a real extortion, right?
Yeah.
For the same reasons that we've gone over and over today, correct?
Yes.
Your mom says that they're barking up the wrong tree. Why? What did you understand her to mean when she said they're barking up the wrong tree?
Well, they think it's a murder for hire. They don't realize that it was an extortion on our end.
And your mom says 24 minutes and 20 seconds into the call, "I just hope they don't go and bother Wendy." And you respond that Wendy was scared from day one. She is just getting over this. What is Wendy just getting over?
The murder of her ex-husband.
I like that observation, a cappella. It is kind of like the beginning of an old vinyl album. Nice. I love that sound. You know, when everything went to CD and they took that sound away like it was a good thing, I was like, fuck off, man. That's the best bit. You know, when you put an album on and you just hear that crackle before anything starts. I love that. Why would you want to lose that? Oh. Hey, thanks so much, Michael Crawford, Professor Crawford, for the super sticker. Wonderful, 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 wonderful.
But according to the state, Wendy Adelson is a co-conspirator with you in her ex-husband's murder.
The state's wrong. They're wrong about a lot of things.
And in fact, you then go on to explain again that Wendy is just getting over the tragedy. This is the second time that you have described Professor Markel's murder as a tragedy, right? On the wires.
Yeah.
The first time was nearly a week before the bump.
It was.
Yeah, so I described the murder as a tragedy. I know exactly what call that is, and it was the least convincing. He was like, it was a tragedy. You know, it was so obvious that he was saying it because, you know, on the phone, just in case anyone was listening. You know what I mean? It's just like, and now Daniel Rashbaum is pointing to that. So you said that the murder that the state think that you had a part in, you called that murder a tragedy. Why would you call something a tragedy if you paid $100,000 to have it done? It's like as if that is substantial to be called evidence, substantial enough to be called exculpatory evidence. See, it wasn't me, because I called it a tragedy. In a very unconvincing fashion. So put that in the evidence pile that says not guilty. Thank you. What the fuck? Yeah, Steely Dan on vinyl. I still have a copy of Pretzel Logic somewhere. I don't know where it is. But I bought it when I didn't even have a record player. I just love the fucking cover.
"33 minutes and 40 seconds into the call. And this was not played for the jury yesterday. You say they got theories out there. Someone thinks that our family paid for this to be done. What are you saying here?
I'm saying it's the police, and their theory is they think it was a murder for hire, and that's why they're investigating it the way they're doing it, and they're pretending to be gang members who are coming back for more money.
Going back to Dolce Vita.
Mm-hmm.
You're aware Dolce Vita is, according to the state, the final straw that led to your arrest, right?
Yeah.
Going back to Dolce Vita, did you say something very similar to this in Dolce Vita?
Yeah.
What did you say in Dolce Vita?
I said that they only know part of the story, where they think they know part of the story. And
what do they think?
They think it was a murder for hire. And that's,
what was it?
It was an extortion.
Going to the next day. PP, which is in evidence but was not published to the jury. I want to play a portion of it.
Yeah. Ricky, don't lose that number. What a song. What a great song. I mean, the best. The best. And that solo at the end. On a sunny day, nothing better.
I got a couple boyfriends. You know,
Yeah.
but something out.
I've
so
had a
many
couple
now.
of boyfriends. Who are we talking about, Katie? Are we talking about that guy? What the hell was that call? Do you remember that call that someone phoned her up and was playing this weird game on the phone? It was like someone, and he kept trying to say, "It's me from Fate," the club she worked at. And she couldn't hear him. She was like, "You're eating a steak? You're out of state?" It was like the strangest call. And he wanted her to come and be some dolly worker for a club night or something that he was opening. And he was like, you're just gonna sit there and be on your phone and do fuck all. And it was just the strangest call. Is that who one of her boyfriends was? Because he sounded like a total dick.
The first layer, but probably the second layer.
Okay, the first layer and the second layer. Judge Everett immediately is like, are we talking about cake? What kind of layered cake is this layered cake? So if the first layer would be clotted cream, and then the second layer would be strawberry jam with little cut up pieces of fresh strawberries mixed into the jam. Oh! Any mention of layer, second layer, first layer, third layer?
You say it's somebody not from the first layer, but probably the second layer.
Yeah.
What are you saying here?
I'm saying I think it's a copycat extorter off of the first extorters. So the second is copying the first.
And who did you think that copycat was?
I thought the copycat could have been somebody from Luis Rivera, somebody that he may have known or known what he did, and now they're trying to do an extortion of their own, be a copycat.
And if it isn't a copycat, who still did you think it was most likely at this point in time?
I thought it was most likely the police if it wasn't a copycat.
By the way, 22 minutes into that call, PP, there's reference to a jet ski incident. Do you recall that?
Yes.
What jet ski incident are you talking about?
When I went to pick Katie up to go jet skiing July 1st, and Sigfredo cut in front of me and slammed on his brakes and got out of the car and started threatening me in the street. And then started leaving threatening messages on my dad's phone that night.
Judge, I'm about to move on to the next day. Would you like me to do that?
If you can stop it within 5 minutes, your next line of questioning.
I think it goes a little longer than that.
Very well. Members of the jury, we're going to take our break for the evening at this point. Once again, you're going to receive the same instruction. Do not discuss the case with each other or anyone else. Do not look at any news coverage. Do not seek any information about the case. We'll resume tomorrow at 8:45. Please report by 8:30 and have a good evening.
Now, I know it's taken us, 3 or 4 days to get through that, but that was it the end of day 1? Yeah, I think that was the end of day 1 of Charlie on the Stand. So now we've got to go to a little bit more. Charlie, what day are we? 7, day 7. Charlie Adelson, trial, day 7. And this is going to take us into George's Cross. I don't think Charlie's got too much more time with direct. I don't know, maybe we shouldn't start George's Cross today. We've not even been over 2 hours.
Yep, you can come up and take the stand again. But you remain under oath, sir.
Royal scam.
Everyone may be seated. Good morning, members of the jury. Good morning. We are going to continue with the direct examination of Mr. Adelson. Mr. Rashbaum, when you're ready, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That shirt, jacket, tie combination makes him look like a ticket inspector on a train journey. At least, that just looks like a corporate uniform clip-on tie that you would have at a rail company. But maybe not in the States. I don't know. Maybe they have to wear a hat in the States.
On call number UU, which is on May 4th, 2016, around 11 minutes into the call, it's a call with you and your mom. You ask your mom if everything is okay, and she says she doesn't want to talk on the phone, and you ask her whether you should come down, and you agree to meet the next day. Do you remember that call?
Yeah, I do.
What did you think when that call happened? Did you think that there was another activity?
Yeah, for sure.
And in fact, excuse me, on that morning, your mom had received a text in the early morning which said, "So you don't take me serious, you think I'm playing, you have some puta call me to see if I'm for real. If you think what Katie baby daddy did for you can't come back, you're fucking crazy. I want the number now or I'm going after the 100K. The 100K that they're threatening to go after is what? Do you know what the 100K is?
The reward for the solving the murder of Dan Markel.
Okay. And you see that text. Do you go meet with your parents the next day on May 5th?
Yeah, I went down in the afternoon the next day.
And when you saw that text, did you take it as more threatening or less threatening than?
If someone comes to you and attempts to extort you for $5,000 and you don't play ball straight away, and then they come back to you and say, if you don't give me that $5,000, I'm going after the $100,000. Something is very wrong with that picture. They are bluffing. If they were prepared or able to go for that $100,000, obviously they are not going to come to you for $5,000. Right? That's the stupidest thing about the Undercover framing of this situation. And the Adelsons didn't seem to realize that at all.
The prior activity by law enforcement.
Much more threatening.
And how were your parents when you saw them?
My mom was upset. I mean, she gets a message, a call, a text at 2 o'clock in the morning from some nut who may be a Latin King gang member, and maybe we're wrong, and it's not the police, and it is a Latin King gang member.
Now, at this point in time, though, what was your firm belief?
I was fairly certain it was the police.
So you have this discussion with your parents, and I think it was outside by the pool, right?
Yeah.
Community pool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what do you and your parents decide?
I said it's more than likely the police, but it still could be some crazy guy who's not afraid. I mean, I'm very afraid of Sigfredo Garcia, so this person is obviously not afraid of him. So it could be a nut or it could be the police. I said, I want to hear him one more time to confirm that that is the police. So when I spoke to them, I said, you know what, can you please call this guy up and record the conversation so I can hear him again.
Okay. Now, you leave your parents' house and you go to a friend's business. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I went to my friend Adam's office.
Okay. And at some point in time, while at the business, there is a call, and I believe this is YY. Well, before YY, there's a call where you're talking with Catherine Magbanua, right?
Yes.
And you tell her that you're going to call her from a landline, correct?
Yes.
Now, first of all, why do you tell her you're going to call from a landline?
Because I was just pulling into his parking garage and I was about to lose reception, get into the elevator, and I get bad reception in his office.
When you called her from the landline,
Yep.
Did you call her cell phone or did you call another landline?
No, I called her cell phone and I told her I was calling her from a landline because if she didn't recognize the number, she may not pick up. So I was telling her I'm going to call you back in a minute, but I'm going to call you from the office.
Did you tell her, I want to call you from a landline to another number?
No, I wasn't trying to hide anything. I just wanted to have good cell service.
Did you do star 67?
No. I just didn't want her to see the number and not pick up because she won't recognize it.
Now, on May 6th, after some calls back and forth, your mom reaches the Undercover, correct?
Yes, she does.
And we've heard that call with your mom, but what does she tell the Undercover to do?
She says to him, go to the police and go get your reward. Call the police. If you know what happened, go tell them what happened and collect your reward.
Now, you and your mom had known what had happened to some degree for 20 some odd months.
I found out a lot in 2016 before I went into the restaurant, but yeah, we knew a lot more than the police knew.
Why didn't you go to the police and collect your reward?
I would have been killed. I didn't want to tell anybody. So they would have come after my family.
Now, after your mom speaks to the Undercover, she speaks with you, right? And that's State's Exhibit CCC?
Yes.
And she says that she used a handpiece. You remember that?
Yeah,
What is the handpiece that she's referring to?
I'm assuming it was her cell phone, but I didn't know if it was her cell phone or she recorded it with an old-fashioned tape recorder or how she did it.
And she says that there's a new app she loaded. What did you understand that to mean?
I guess she loaded an app on your telephone that allows you to record a conversation.
And she said, you asked her how long was the call, something to that effect. And she says that it was 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was significant to you. Why was it significant to you that the call was 8 minutes?
Because it meant the guy who was threatening wanted to talk for a while. And I mean, when someone's extorting you, they want something, they're straight to the point. They tell you what they want and what they're going to do to you if you don't pay. And an 8-minute call, again, wasn't the way it was done to me.
Now, during this call, there's words like patient used by your mom, models, dental models. Why is she talking the way she's talking?
I'd lectured my mom on being really careful about what you say, and I don't want to talk about anything involving the extortion or anything that happened. So she went overboard with some things. I mean, she could have been more blunt, but I mean, this was just her overall just being super careful.
Is your mom scared?
Extremely scared.
The next day, May 7th, do you meet with your parents?
Yes, they came to my house.
And what did you do with your parents when you met with them?
I went outside and my mom played the recording of the supposed Latin King gang member that was trying to extort my family for money.
And after you heard the recording, what did you think and how did you feel?
I felt so much better. I mean, I wasn't happy that the police thought that we did a murder, but I was very happy to know that it wasn't the Latin Kings that were extorting my family again, and that nobody was going to get hurt, nobody was going to get killed. So I felt very relieved.
Now, DDD, which is a call on May 7th in the evening, is a call where you're talking about a CD and dropping the mic, and there's a lot of background noise in the back. First of all, where are you when this call is happening?
Okay, it was a Saturday. It was the Fort Lauderdale Air and Sea Show, and I was on a small boat with my friends, and they were blasting the radio, and I was drinking, and and that's when I made the call or picked up the call.
And why are you talking the way you're talking on the boat? How many people are on that boat?
There was like 6 or 7 people standing around me, and I wasn't about to let anybody know what was going on in my life.
And again, why are you relieved?
I'm relieved that it's the police. Nobody's going to get killed. My mom's, for 2 weeks was afraid that someone was going to get hurt her, and then someone else in the family was going to pay. My dad wasn't going to work. He thought he was going to get killed in the parking lot. And then after hearing that call, that's not a worry of mine anymore.
Do you remember when you found out that Sigfredo Garcia was arrested?
Yes, I do.
How did you find that out?
I got a text message. Either a text, it was a text message I got.
And did you think that you were about to get arrested as well?
Did I fear I was going to get arrested?
Yes.
I didn't think I should get arrested, but I know that this was definitely the police that were doing this investigation, and I know why they were doing it, is they thought that we were part of this murder.
Did you ever reach out to Catherine Magbanua after the arrest?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because my friend, who's a close friend of mine, an attorney, called me up on the phone, and he said, do not call Katie and do not talk to anybody about this case or what's going on. And Katie never called me either.
With regards to Catherine Magbanua, when the arrests occurred of Catherine Magbanua, did you still think that she was not guilty?
Yes.
When did that opinion change, and when did you realize that she was actually the person behind the extortion?
It wasn't till 2019 when she went to trial, and she said that she never knew who Dan Markel was. She didn't say anything about what really happened. I found out then that she was cheating on me with Sigfredo Garcia, and she was sleeping with him at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure you were really broken up about that, Charlie. How many Asian women were you banging at that time?
She was with me. She was lying about that. And then I saw her bank account, And I was like, this girl's not broke. Like, I was getting played, and I saw all the money that was piling into her bank account.
You know, I think he's basing this around something that is true. He did find out information from her 2019 trial about money. He found out that she pocketed a third of the $100,000, right? He didn't know that. He didn't know that. It's been so long accepted as just part of the operation that Charlie did the favors for Katie post-murder, in addition to her getting, 33,000 or whatever, 30,000 of the 100K for the hit. That's never been questioned, except on Metrix, right? Because we've noticed that Charlie didn't know that at all. As far as Charlie was concerned, Katie's payment, her finder's fee for being the conduit, the middle woman to the hit, was the favors that he was doing post-murder. The car stuff, the tits, the trips away, the cruise, the $300 here and that was her payment. So when he's saying here, I found this out at trial and her bank account, he's basing that around a revelation that was real. And the revelation that was real is that a third of the murder payment went to her. He did not know that. We have found that out here. That is new information. Is it useful? Somewhat. It doesn't really change anything. But I like that we've understood that now. What else can we say about that? Just these little details that don't really matter, that don't change anything, but they just fill in the spaces a little bit more, don't they? It builds a more complete picture. The arrangement was, can you recruit hitmen or a hitman? Because I think he had no idea that two people went up either, but let's leave that issue aside. Can you recruit a hitman? If you can recruit a hitman to go and murder Dan Markel, I will pay them $100,000. Charlie and the Adelsons as a whole believe that full $100,000 is the payment to the hitman for the murder. This little splitting up three ways, roughly, I know that Luis Rivera got a couple of extra $1,000, blah, blah, blah. Let's just call it this three-way split between Sigfredo, Katie, and Luis. That was their deal. That was not known, nothing to do with the Adelsons. The Adelsons' deal was, Katie, can you recruit a hitman to go and kill Markel? If you can do that, we will pay them $100,000. And as a thank you to you, Katie, moving forward, after the murder has been done, we're going to, throw these things your way. We're going to give you cash and we're going to put you on the payroll. We'll give you a car for about 15% of the value and or totally free. I mean, did money ever change hands? Perhaps not. I'll call my guy and get you some new tits. I'll call my other guy who's got the eco-friendly mechanic or whatever, and I'll get your car repairs. All of those things. That was Katie's payment. And it wouldn't have been until 3 years after Katie's arrest, at her first trial, in 2019, when Charlie Adelson would have had the opportunity to see the financial, what's her name? Mary Hull come in with all of her printouts of Katie McBanawa's bank statements, plus the testimony of Luis Rivera. I mean, that is when he found out that she got 30 grand, a 30 grand portion of the murder payment. I'm totally sold. I'm totally sold. We've discovered it. We discovered it on Metrix. No one else talks about that. Interesting. I think this new concept, this new revelation, will lead to other things. We need to take a note. Charlie did not know Katie got 30K of murder money.
And did all the pieces then start to come together?
Hey, thanks so much, Jill Jane, for that sticker. That is great. Don't forget, guys, there is a link in the description for the video to our membership packages, Patreon membership packages, Buy Me a Coffee membership packages, or if you would just like to buy us a coffee and support the channel, link in the description. You don't need to be a member. You can just do that right now, right where you sit. Have we got any more coffee in the studio? Yes, we do. I'd like a refill on that cup. Oh, and a little bit left over. Nice.
For you.
Yeah. I realized what happened.
Now, we've heard some testimony that after the bump and after the arrest,
Christina, Katie didn't arrange the murder for nothing. She was promised. I mean, it really fits. Everything about it fits. We'll take good care of you. But we need it to be done. We need it to actually be done.
your personality changed.
For sure.
Is that testimony true?
Yes, it is.
Why did your personality change?
I mean, the police thought that I was part of a murder. They're releasing a probable cause affidavit saying that they want to arrest me for murder. I didn't have anything to do with the murder. I knew that there wouldn't be any evidence to show I had anything to do with the murder. But, you know, it's scary as hell to think that you're one signature away from losing your life.
Now, we've also heard some testimony that throughout the years, you would get upset when you would see or hear the news about this case.
Yes, very.
Why would you get upset?
Because they don't have any idea what really went on. And I couldn't say anything to anybody.
Charlie, I'm going to ask you again. Did you have anything to do with the murder of Professor Dan Markel?
Absolutely not.
Were you a principal in his first-degree murder?
Absolutely not.
Did you conspire in any way to murder him?
Absolutely not.
Did you solicit anyone to murder him?
Never.
One moment, Your Honor.
John?
No further questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh. Are we going straight into this now? I guess so. It's a shame that that George's Cross isn't going to be its own video. Should we stop now? And I don't know. We're only 2 hours and 17 minutes in. I guess we'll just play it. Is it Doctor?
Do a quick audio test since Mr. Rashbaum was hooked up, Your Honor, before we get going here.
That's an excellent idea.
Fair enough.
Oh, hang on. One of our moderators is saying stop for George's Cross. Well, what does that mean? You mean stop the video and do George's Cross tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, we could play a bit of it and start it again tomorrow. Georgia does need her own video. You're right, Amy. I think we'll have a little warm up, right? We'll start George's Cross properly tomorrow, and I will go and do some prep work on it as well, because we really want to make this Georgia Kaplan pop, because she's so damn pretty. Lewis saying it in, well, not in Charlie's trial. You're talking about the money? No, in the 2019 joint trial of Katie and Sigfredo. But it wasn't just Lewis's testimony. It was also the financial investigator that showed Catherine Magbanaway's huge, big peak in bank deposits. Just after the murder, she had the best month of her entire life, financially. So, you know, that would have been when Charlie Adelson and all the Adelsons realized that how that $100,000, where it went. Because until the bump, when people started talking about Tato, I'm certain that that Charlie Adelson was under the impression that it was a sole hitman who got $100,000 for his trouble. Did he know for sure that it was Sigfredo? I don't think that's something that's known. Of course, if he did know for sure that it was Sigfredo, I think he would have known that Sigfredo. I don't necessarily think he thought it was Sigfredo who was the trigger man. You know, certainly that he got someone from his underworld to be the trigger man. I'm just thinking back through the evidence that we know. I don't remember anything that shows us that Charlie would have known that it was Sigfredo who went to Tallahassee. Oh my God, I just remembered the fucking stupid theory the other day. That Wendy, listen, do me a favor. If anyone out there believes that Wendy Adelson hid a burner phone in a storm trench for Sigfredo and Luis Rivera to pick up from an alley, from a storm trench outside of the man's house, the man that they were sent to murder, for the purpose to not be used for the important calls, but for Luis Rivera to be able to call his baby mama when he's away on a 2-day trip. If you think that Wendy Adelson went against every principle and touched things, evidence things, physical objects, such as a fucking burner phone, and hid it in a bush, then please don't watch this channel. You are much better spending that energy booking yourself into a mental health facility for tests. You need help. You know, I don't want to name any names, so we'll just call that person from the other day on Discord, let's say Mongo. If you have a theory like Mongo, we need to go over that thing. You know, it's so clear what it is. You know, has anyone seen My Cousin Vinny? Oh my God. I think as soon as I really want to get away from the Adelsons, but there are some videos that we've got to put out, and one of them is this thing about breaking down the fucking witness testimony that 2 Latin-looking guys, one tall, one short, went rummaging around the back of Markel's house and came out with something. Yeah? We got to piss all over that theory. Sorry, Grish. Love the work. Really do. No joke. But you could make any story. With the amount of discovery in this case, you could come up with any piece of fiction you want and find evidence to support it. But, you know, you need to go back and make sure that it makes any fucking sense whatsoever. And if Mongo wants to poison the well, I mean, let her. Yeah. I mean, you know, so what do we need to do? We need to come back to the Bush theory and destroy it once and for all. I am so tired of, you know, I love this case, but it does attract some people that seem to just be writing a bad made-for-TV detective drama, you know. It is interesting enough without these fanciful embellishments. So tired of it, so tired of it. Oh, thank you, C. Malone, for that super chat. That is an excellent super chat, and we thank you very much. Yeah, Christine, we're going to watch some and then come back tomorrow and do the full thing from the beginning.
Hey,
Mr. Adelson, is it doctor?
It is, yes.
All right, doctor. Have you ever heard the saying that the simplest explanation is always the most likely? Have you heard that?
I've heard that theory before, yeah.
Was your explanation to the jury over the last little over a day the simplest explanation?
It was the truth.
Do you, I mean, you have a thorough explanation. Would you agree with that?
Can you imagine going up against this woman? I mean, if she were a boxer, it would be like, I don't know, who's a fantastic boxer that's not Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali? Lennox Lewis. It would be like going up against Lennox Lewis. I mean, look at her. Prepped, solid, focused, centered, handle on the facts, and this look of incredulity, beyond incredulity, extra incredulity. It's just like, I can't believe you're saying these words. This is after a day, well, not really a day and a half. Let's just call it a full day of Charlie Adelson attempting to lay out some version of events. You know, he's been prepping for that for 18 months. I'm sure Daniel Rashbaum, we all know he loves to bill for those hours visiting the detention center, right? Such an easy sell, and Donna Adelson thanks him for it. Dan's so great. He spent so much time one-on-one. Yeah, I bet. I bet he spent as many hours as he could one-on-one. Why? Because he was billing. He made you believe that that would be a benefit. And we just saw the product of all of those meetings one-on-one. You know, I'm sure they had little flashcards, you know? He couldn't resist demonstrating how prepared and well-versed he was with the time and date of calls. If you're going to quote me, date me. You want to know what call? I'll tell you what call. It was April 22nd at 4:15 p.m., you know, all of this stuff. Because Daniel Rashbaum's been sitting in there convincing him that if you know every detail, if you remember everything and you can weave this version, then that's reasonable doubt. Of course, it isn't reasonable doubt. The clue is in the name. So he's been tying the story in knots for a full day. And now it's George's turn to bring that back home to reality. Right? And I just can't imagine. If I were in Charlie's shoes, I would pretty much hope for any other prosecutor than Georgia Kappelman. She's done this case a full 2 trials before. She's been working on this case since, well, certainly since 2016, when they were arrested. But quite possibly before that. But, you know, she's been reading and preparing and going over the facts, looking at the discovery for well, it's 2023 here, so 7 years. 7 years, and had 2 full dress rehearsals with other defendants. And now she's got Charlie Adelson, the first Adelson to face her. And I can't help but think Georgia Kappelman has this wonderful balance. Because I believe that it is personal to her. Right? But not so much so where you feel like that she's, been overtaken by her personal feelings. It's like a professional challenge. It's like the principles of her education and practice and her professional, occupation. Her occupation is to do this. It's Lennox Lewis.
I told you what happened.
Do you agree that the only problem with having an explanation for everything is that there's just so many explanations?
There's no explanation. I explained what happened.
I want to go through.
There's no explanation. I explained what happened. What did he say the other day? Daniel Rashbaum was like, and when Katie got there that day, did she look confused? And Charlie's like, very. She came in and it was making me think that she didn't know anything about it because she knew all the details and she wasn't confused at all. He just really doesn't know where he is, does he?
Some of that. You claim that you were extorted on July 18th, 2014 by Catherine Magbanua and also in the background some Latin kings, probably Garcia and Rivera, right? Is that accurate?
No, I wasn't extorted by Catherine Magbanua.
You weren't?
That's not what I believed in 2014.
Okay, I'm sorry. I understood you to say you believe that today.
Today I do, yes.
All right, so who extorted you?
I believe that it was Catherine Magbanua's friend that she ran her mouth to.
Okay.
And that's 2014.
Right, but as you sit here today, you think it's Magbanua, Garcia, and Rivera. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate.
Thanks again, Lush Life, for the supporting the TCM. The very first international tour of Metrix, True Crime Metrix, is going to Germany.
Accurate.
Okay. Who extorted you?
As I sit here today, I believe that it was Catherine Magbanua, and I believe Sigfredo Garcia, but I don't know for sure.
Bro, I'm gonna fucking
I was never there when she was ever talking to him.
Hey, for once, Pinto, your German Buy Me a Coffee app is appropriate. Oh, because, we're going to Germany. So we're taking your app with us and all your coffees. Thank you so much, Pinto, for the wonderful, wonderful cups of coffee. Can't thank you enough. And welcome back. Welcome back. I was wondering where you were.
So I don't know if he was in on it with her or not.
All right. At the time, though, you did not think she was guilty. We got that right. The time of the extortion.
In 2014?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And then so exactly when you found out would be, I think you said, her trial.
That I suspected that she was not telling me the truth and she was a part of it was in 2019.
At her trial?
Yes.
All right. And so she was arrested in 2016, right?
Yes.
All right. So for 3 years, she was in the Leon County Jail awaiting trial, yes?
She was there.
And you believed she was innocent.
Yes.
And you had this whole explanation to assist with exonerating her, right?
I have the truth of what happened, yes.
But you didn't offer the truth of what happened, did you?
Nobody came to me. I thought the truth would come out.
Does someone have...
She is just so quick, right? She is just so great at this. I've never seen a prosecutor be this good at cross-examining a witness that's full of shit. I'm trying to think. I mean, she really, really steps up the theatrics, and in a good way. Usually when people say that, it sounds bad, doesn't it? I mean in a really good way. Other prosecutors, even if they're very good, can be very, I don't know, kind of like dry. This is it's like watching a play, a drama. It's awesome.
Have to come to you?
I was told not to.
And these gestures, these reach out gestures, she's very, she uses her full body to do what she does. Face, arms, gestures, body language, expressions, fantastic hair, great suits. Every element of her being is 100% involved with this. And that's how you get good at something. Whatever it is. If you're a sports player, a musician, a singer, a lawyer, a baker, whatever it is, if you use your whole body, everything you've got, you'll be 100 times better at it. Think about it. Think about a guitarist that stands completely still. And then a guitarist that jumps all around. It's way better. Sports players. Yeah, she's just brilliant.
Innocent.
Yes.
And you had this whole explanation to assist with exonerating her, right?
I have the truth of what happened, yes.
But you didn't offer the truth of what happened, did you?
Nobody came to me. I thought the truth would come out.
Does someone have to come to you?
I was told not to talk to Katie and not to talk to anybody about this case by counsel.
Okay. So you strike that. On day one, which is July 18th, 2014, she is the only one that physically contacted you to conduct this extortion. Am I correct in that?
Yes, you are.
So you never actually had any contact with any Latin King?
No.
No phone calls?
No phone calls.
No texts?
No.
No letters?
Well, in 2016, you're talking about in 14, right?
I'm talking about the first layer of the extortion. Did you have any contact with the thugs that were getting your money for 2 years?
No.
Did anybody put a gun to your head?
I was told that I would be killed in 48 hours if I didn't pay up.
I heard you say that, but my question is, did anyone put a gun to your head?
You're asking me, did anyone pull a gun on me?
That's what I asked you.
Is that your question? No, nobody pulled a firearm on me.
All right, so when Catherine Magbanua came to you on July 18th and said, open the safe and give me all your money, she was not armed.
She was not carrying a gun that day,
And
no.
were you armed at that time? Did you have a weapon in your home?
I had weapons in my safe, yes.
Were you led to believe or told that the bad guys are outside, right outside your apartment or your residence?
No, but I was led to believe what they did to Dan, they were going to do to me.
I heard you say that, but my question is, did she say, like, the car's running, I'm going to take the money out there to him right now?
No, she never told me that they were waiting for me outside my house.
In fact,
Georgia Kappelman is a bear at she's completely aware that Charlie has concocted this fictional tale of events that's what happened, reframing everything. Katie came round and said that a friend of hers did this but what Georgia Kappelman is really, really in tune and good at doing and finding are the elements of the story that he has not prepared. Right? That he hasn't thought out at all. Because when Charlie Adelson was being prepared for telling this story, all he did was reshape the kind of important points, right? He didn't fill in the gaps. He didn't decide what would be in those gaps. He's got to say, well, the money came from me because it was stapled. So he goes, okay, well, why did I part with the money if it wasn't for a payment? He goes, okay, because she came and extorted me and demanded the money and told me that I was going to be killed if I didn't give it to her. But he goes so far as, yeah, I went to the safe and I showed her the money, but anything in between that chain of events, he's not decided on. Right, so Georgia Kappelman is really good at finding the questions that he has no prepared answer for, and it's very awkward for Charlie because he's got to very quickly decide what he can commit to. Frankly, it would have been better for him to not speak as a witness at all. That would have given him some better chance because, you know, the advantages he gained by telling his story to the jury and displaying his bullshit personality that Donna thought was so likable and, you know, etc. Do you remember she was saying, wow, you know, not only is he telling the truth, but he's actually like a nice guy. No one would think that apart from her. A nice guy. Yeah, the jury were like, I'd like to go for a beer with this guy. We love this guy. He's not arrogant at all. They are so delusional. It's just, it's hilarious. Anyway, point is that Georgia Kappelman is great at finding those bits that he hasn't prepped for, and that it takes him just a second too long to be able to decide, you know, of course she's going to be laying traps, right? I mean, the pressure. I think tomorrow we should think of, we should maybe put a couple of counter clocks up on the screen. I want to record the number of times that Charlie Adelson says some variant of what happened to me. He says that multiple times throughout. It's just so funny. What happened to me was T behind what happened to me. Maybe we should have some sort of counter for Georgia Kappelman. Any question that Georgia Kappelman asks. I don't know. I'll have to think about it.
She stayed the night with you, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And didn't exit your house with your $138,000 until the next day, right?
Correct.
And the money, the $138,000, was that stapled into $1,000 increments?
Each packet was $1,000, and had a staple in it.
And stapling money's a little unusual. Would you agree with that?
For me, it wasn't unusual. That's what I did.
Right, but nobody else does it. That's why I'm suggesting it's unusual.
I've never questioned people into how they keep their money, whether they keep it with a staple or a paper clip or an envelope. I just know what I do.
Would you agree, Doctor, that it's a compelling piece of evidence that the killers were paid in stapled money and came up with that information in this case?
It's not compelling. The people who extorted me and got my money got it from my house, and it was stapled at my house.
They had to have gotten it from you, right? Because it was stapled.
If they got it from Katie, they got it from me.
So it had to be some kind of, I paid, but I did it under duress. based on that piece of evidence, right? That had to be built into your defense.
I was extorted and I paid the money.
All right, so Katie comes in and she's in a panic and she tells you what's happened. And I need all the money in your safe right now. Do you suspect that maybe she's working with the police at that point? Maybe she's trying to set you up?
No, she didn't say I need all the money in your safe. That's not what she said.
Did she take all the money in your safe?
I cleaned out all the money in my safe and handed it to her.
Right. Why did you do that?
Because I was being extorted for $350,000.
But why didn't you? The bump was only $5,000, and you immediately became suspicious and questioning and had all these conversations and deliberations about what to do about it for days. When Katie comes to you, you just open the safe and give her the money, right?
That's what I did, and there's a big difference between the two.
Okay, well, the way that it was done to you, is that the way it's done?
You have to be more specific, please.
Well, on the wire, you say repeatedly, that's not the way it's done. You knew that the undercover agent was law enforcement, or at least strongly suspected, because that's not the way it's done. And my question to you is, since you're an expert on extortion, because you've been extorted before and that's how you knew that's not the way it's done, is this the way it's done? Do extortionists send a girlfriend of their victim to collect their extortion money? Is that the way it's done, doctor?
I'm telling you what happened to me, and I was told that if I didn't pay in 48 hours, I would be killed. The person that came and extorted my mom, was not the same approach as what happened to me.
Is that the only way? That's the only way it's done? They send the girlfriend?
It's the only time I've ever been extorted like that.
Okay. And did you hear any of the negotiate? So they come in and they say, strike. They come in and they say, we need $333,000.
You need to pay $333,000.
You need to pay $333,000. Why not $1 million?
Because when I had told to Katie that the $1 million offer for Dan Markel, I said I was going to pay $333,000. And when she asked me, do you have that much money? And I said, yeah, I could pay it in cash. So she took it as I had cash, and she knew I had a ton of cash in my safe. So she thought I had the cash. I didn't have all that cash. So that's where I'm assuming they got the $333,000 from.
But the offer that she bragged about was $1 million offer, isn't that right? That she ran her mouth about.
I was never there when she spoke to her friend.
Okay, was it $1 million offer?
The offer was that $1 million was going to be paid, and I was going to pay $333,000.
And weren't you going to cover Wendy's third as well?
No, not at all. I was going to cover my third.
Didn't your lawyer say in opening statement?
Yeah, I'm really in the business of paying $333,000 to my sister's ex-husband so that she can move 4 hours south. Who would do that?
Statement that you were going to cover the whole thing or Wendy's third?
No, I was sitting here. I heard what he said. Charlie was going to pay $333,000.
All right. And so the offer was $1 million offer, and that's what you told Katie, along with the fact that you were going to cover the third.
I was telling her that I was going to pay $333,000, yeah. And then one day, if my sister was able to, she was going to pay me back.
And then you didn't have the amount of money that was being demanded at the time, right?
No, I only had what I had.
All right. And at that point, the blackmailer, Catherine Magbanua, negotiates some type of layaway plan for you to complete the extortion with the Latin Kings?
Okay, Katie wasn't the blackmailer, and Katie wasn't the one who was extorting me.
Didn't you just tell this jury that Katie was the blackmailer? You realized it in 2019.
I had thought that when you were just talking, you were talking about 2014. You were talking about that night, okay. So that night happened in 2014.
Okay. We all know now, because you have revealed the puzzle piece, She's a blackmailer. Can we agree on that?
I believe, sitting here in 2023,
Yes.
that she was in on the extortion for sure.
Yes. So is it okay if I refer to her as a blackmailer?
I think there's a difference between blackmail and extortion, but yeah,
Okay.
sitting here today, we can, sure.
We'll refer to her as an extortionist. So this woman, the extortionist, is going to do you a solid by negotiating with the Latin Kings for you to get on a payment plan for the extortion. Isn't that what happened?
What you're doing is you're taking what we know in 2003 and trying to say, this is what I knew in 2014.
2003? We don't want to know about 2003, man.
Did she put you on a payment plan?
Yes, she said, because I didn't have the money, she said, asked me if I could pay $3,000 a month in 2014, and I said, yes, I can.
Did you hear any of the conversation where she was making these negotiations on your behalf?
No, when she said, I'm going to go check with my friend and if that's okay with him, she took her purse, took her keys, took her cell phone, she walked out of my front door, closed the door behind her, and I sat in my living room, and she came back about 5 minutes later.
You didn't want to talk to the guy yourself?
No, I didn't even think of that. I mean, but she went outside to call him.
All right, and then the two of you took a Xanax and went to sleep.
Well, I took a Xanax. I don't know if she took one out of the bottle, but I definitely did.
And the next morning, she left with your money, right?
She left about 8:30 the next morning.
That's July 19th, 2014.
Correct.
Let's talk about what you did that day. You did not report this to the police because you were in fear, correct?
Absolutely.
And you didn't report this to Wendy, even though, according to you, her life was in danger too, correct?
Potentially, but I planned on paying the extortion every month.
All right, but you did go to the gym that morning, right? Can we show that text, please? Were you able to go to the gym the next
I
morning?
absolutely didn't leave the house. I worked it out at Nova Southeastern Gym, and you can check the gym records. I was never there.
Okay. Did you say you were going to the gym?
I said I was, yeah.
But you didn't actually go?
No, I didn't leave the house.
All right. So would you agree, Doctor, and we'll refresh your memory with them if we can, that the text messages that were exchanged between yourself and Catherine McVanois on the morning after this exchange of money were inconsistent with your extortion theory?
They were inconsistent with how I was feeling.
They don't appear to look like you just gave her $138,000 under duress, do they?
She told me the last thing she said to me before she left the house is, can we just pretend like this never even happened? So when I sent her that message, I was trying to show her, like, I'm trying to forget all about it.
Yeah, you were just demonstrating to her that you would agree to pretend nothing happened, right?
Absolutely, that's what she asked me to do, and that's what I tried to do.
All right. So the text messages aren't what they appear to be. It's a beautiful day, I'm going to the pool, I'm going to the beach, I'm going to the gym. None of that is what it appears to be. It's something else.
I absolutely did not go to the gym. I was trying to show her that I was, pretending like nothing ever happened and looking past it.
And there's nothing on the wire. All those hours of you talking, there is nothing on the wire about the extortion, this layer 1 of extortion, because she told you not to talk about it, right?
She told me to never talk about anything to anyone or her. She never wanted to hear about it again.
And yesterday, in your testimony, between you and your attorney, you mentioned the word extortion 123 times. Would you take my word for that?
I'm sure it came up a lot.
Okay. But nowhere, even in the midst of this whole second extortion, it's happening again. It's an extension of the same thing. Do you mention anything about this layer 1 of the extortion? Do you?
Yes, actually I did.
Okay.
If you pull up the video from Matsuri when I was sitting with my dad, and I said, and the funny thing is, that's what I whispered in his ear.
Right, but we can't hear that.
Right, because that's my point. I never wanted anybody to hear what had happened. I never wanted the police to come talk to me. But if you put up that video, you'll actually see me saying that it's my dad's ear, and that's why I went in and said it. And that's what we were talking about at the time. So
At
it's relevant.
Matsuri, the only time you mention the extortion, it's in a whisper that is not picked up by the microphones, right?
Intentionally, yes.
Yes. And that was intentional at the time, but it sucks for your defense, right? Because that would be a huge piece of evidence for you to show this jury, wouldn't it?
No, I think you'd come up with a reason why that I said it anyway.
And there's nobody to corroborate this testimony?
There is.
Okay. And the Matsuri, you talked about it again out in the parking lot, right? Wasn't that your testimony?
Yes, we spoke in the parking lot.
Okay, so you did talk about the extortion.
That's
You just didn't do it in a way that it was captured on any of the recordings in this case.
well, we spoke when we had privacy.
Well, you had privacy on the phone, right?
When?
At least you thought you had privacy on the phone. Every time when you were talking on the phone for hundreds of hours on this wire.
There's always a chance that I was being listened to.
Okay.
I mean,
well, there was a chance you were being listened to when you whispered in Dad's ear, right? But you said it. I mean, you were talking about it.
I whispered real quietly into his ear, so I thought I had privacy. At that point, I thought I had privacy.
And Catherine Magbanua and you discussed this first layer of extortion in the car outside of Dolce Vita too, right?
That's when I found out everything that was going on, and she opened up when I confronted her.
But if this jury could hear that conversation recorded, we would all be hearing basically what you're telling us, that there was an extortion effort that predated the undercover operation. Wouldn't we?
Because I was trying to see if Sigfredo was behind the extortion of my mom, because I knew he was behind. I always had a feeling he was behind what happened to me, and she was having this explosive fight with him, and it was going on the same exact time that my mom started getting extorted, so I thought that he was going after my mom.
Don't you wish that that conversation in the car had been recorded?
I don't know.
Wouldn't it prove your theory?
Yeah.
You're talking about the
if I
prior
think about
extortion.
it, then you'd know exactly what happened back then.
But unfortunately, it wasn't recorded, and then everything that was recorded inside the restaurant, you don't mention it, right?
I'm speaking very carefully. I mean, I was still, even when I was in the car with Katie, she was doing most of the talking. That was the first time she really opened up, and I think I caught her off guard.
Talked in Dad's ear, said something that would help my case. Met with Katie in the car before we went into Dolce Vita, said something that would help my case.
I was still, even when I spoke to her in the car, I was real careful. I said, was T behind what happened to me? Like, I wouldn't even say the words to her when I was in the car.
Okay, was T behind what happened to me? Do you say anything anywhere on the wire about referencing what happened to me? Meaning, what happened to me before?
No, because that was the only time I ever confronted her. But I did actually when I would be on the wire with my mom, and I would say it's not the same person. Like, that was in reference to what happened to me, and she knew that.
What call do you say it's not the same person?
Okay, you want to know what call? It was Tuesday, the 26th. And I said it's at the end of the call. It was a 2-minute and something call.
April 26th?
April 26, 2016. It was a 2-minute and something call. It was towards the very end. And I go, I know it's not done like this. It's 48 hours, just enough time. It's not the same person. So you can look it up.
Okay, I'm with you. It's not the same person you were referencing as the person that blackmailed me years ago. And has been blackmailing me for years.
Yeah.
That's what you meant.
It's not the same person that's extorting me, correct.
All right. So I want to go back to Wendy. Wendy is in the process of relocating from Tallahassee to South Florida, basically the day that this is going on.
can you imagine what kind of expressions you would have on your face if back in 2014, Katie had come into your house and said, "I'm so sorry, I ran my mouth to some bad people and they got it in their head to go and kill Professor Markel, supposedly to show you that they mean business and they will kill indiscriminately." So in order to do that, they drove 400 miles to kill someone that you hate and that whose death would benefit your family. But the thing is, we want $250,000 or we're going to kill you. Anyway, just imagine that basically you've been robbed, essentially, right? Extortion, whatever. You've been robbed and you're being, you're having to give all of this money, and people are looking at your sister with suspicion, and that's stressful. Your nephews don't have a dad, da 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 da. And then you get arrested for that murder that they did. When you've been paying all this money and you've been afraid and everything like that. Imagine how fucked up that would be. What an injustice that would be. You would be on the stand going, "Listen, everybody listen to me right now. This is exactly what happened." You know, there would be no gaps. There would be no uncertainty. They wouldn't be like, it would be like, "You have to believe me. Let me tell you the whole story. This is exactly what happened." You know, you would be so eager to get your message across, right? Charlie acts like he doesn't want to be asked questions. It's just, it's difficult to think of any defendant that I've ever seen that looked less innocent. Can anyone think of a defendant that went up there with a story and looked less innocent than this guy? Nothing comes to mind. Nothing comes to mind.
Day after the money drop, right?
Hey, golfer girl, how you doing?
They're packing up the car. They're coming back. Yeah.
Right. So she's going to be moving significantly closer to the killers that had threatened her life.
This what I don't. She wasn't planning it wasn't a permanent move or anything that was planned. I think she took a suitcase with her.
But she's your family member, yes. She's much.
Yeah. Pebbles says he is the only human being on the planet that remembers down to the minute what he texted, when he said something, and exactly what he said almost 10 years later. He's Rain Man. He's Adelson Rain Man. If you drop a box of toothpicks on the floor, he'll say 42, 42, 42. No, 82, 82, 82. Does that add up to 246? I think it does, doesn't it? 82, 82, 82. And Tom Cruise is like, "How many toothpicks are in that box, ma'am?" Charlie Adelson just sees things in numeric patterns. He should go to Vegas. He should go to Vegas and count cards with that mind, with that what do you call it? Photographic memory.
Closer to the one they've already killed, you, right?
Say it again.
She's much closer. She's got much deeper connections to the person they've already killed. That's Dan Markel than you do.
Right.
I mean, there's a reason to fear for her safety, because these killers have come, they've just killed Dan, and now they're saying they're going to kill another one. It could be Wendy, right?
She has no idea what's going on.
Exactly. But you let her move from Tallahassee to Miami, where you knew the killers were located. That's my point. Do you agree with that?
The killers were able to find Dan Markel in Tallahassee. They have a car.
They were, But would you rather live in Tallahassee or in Miami if the killers are in Miami?
I think if these people want to find you, they'll find you.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think. I mean, looking at Luis Rivera, I don't think a distance would.
Yeah, if these people want to find you, I mean, Wendy could live next door to Luis Rivera. That'd be good.
Happen.
Okay. Where did Wendy and the boys live when she first moved to South Florida?
When she first moved to South Florida, she moved in with my parents into a small apartment. They actually had to get another apartment because that one was too small.
With your parents?
She moved in with them, yeah.
And I want to talk about the cameras. You bought cameras for the Adelson Institute in your home at Whale Harbor, right?
Yes.
The camera system? Yeah. All right. And what about Wendy's? I guess she didn't have a place. So, like, wherever she was staying with your parents, were cameras installed there as well at that same time frame that you installed these cameras?
No, I never told her what happened, but they lived in a very secure building.
Isn't it true, Doctor, that you'd been planning to install those cameras for some time before the murder?
I actually already had cameras at my house that I had installed in 2008. The technology from 2008 to 2014 had changed a lot when it came to cameras.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think you mentioned all that on direct. I'm referring to this particular update that was done post-homicide. You were in communication with this camera guy, and I think your lawyer mentioned this. You had 84 text messages with him dating back to January 20th of 2014.
84 text messages with the camera installer guy? I mean, that sounds excessive, doesn't it? You know, fucking 12 should be able to do it, right?
In regards to the update that occurred post-murder, do you agree with that?
I know. There was always talk that we were going to get cameras in the office, and we just never got around to it. When this happened, that week, within probably 3 days, I called the camera guy up and I said, I want to get cameras in my house and my new cameras for my house, and I want to get cameras in my office. How soon can you come out and do it? And then he came out, I'd say 4 or 5 days after that, bought the equipment and installed it that week.
Did you hire a private investigator to help you with this whole problem you were having?
With the extortion?
Yes.
No, I didn't tell anybody.
Did you get a bodyguard?
No, I carried a gun on me, and I always sleep with a gun next to me in bed, and I carried a gun on my person and had a gun in my car at all times.
Do you recall a statement you made on the Dolce Vita?
You see, again, not judging. I'm not an American. We don't have guns. I just wouldn't want to go to bed with a gun on my nightstand. I just don't think that's a relaxing thing to do, you know. You go to bed, head on the pillow, and, you know, you check that your firearm is there and loaded round in the chamber, just in case that you need to shoot an intruder. I mean, that would stress me the fuck out, man. I mean, if there's an actual present threat, you know, obviously that might be helpful. But even to the situation that he's speaking of, there's no indication that someone's going to break into his house in the middle of the night and kill him. Yeah, but I think many people do that as a daily practice, right? Just gun on the nightstand. It would stress me out, man.
Recording that said you were gonna start carrying a gun.
Yeah, because for a long time, after this happened, I was carrying a gun, and it's uncomfortable, and I don't always like carrying a gun. So I hadn't carried a gun in a while, and I was going to start carrying one again.
But you did say in 2016, I'm going to start carrying one.
Yeah, I carried probably for about 4 to 6 months after this happened, and I wear scrubs, so the gun that I had can kind of stick out, and it's uncomfortable. I prefer not to carry a gun.
So you quit carrying.
No, I really love it. I really love it when I go to the dentist and the dentist has a gun sticking out of his scrubs.
It, but during the time you were still paying the extortion money.
Yes.
All right, and the extortion money that you were paying, $3,000 a month, that wasn't going towards the principal of whatever was left on the $333,000, right? Didn't you?
Pinto says many times guns get used against the person, the owner of the weapon. Hate to say it. What, like you'll be shot with your own gun by an intruder? Yeah, I guess so.
You testify to that?
Correct.
All right, so you never came up with the remaining bulk of the money that you owed?
Never.
And nobody ever came after you for that?
No, they said you could pay it all off and it'll be done, or just pay $3,000 a month. So I thought about paying the full amount.
All right, then a couple weeks later, after the initial extortion, you and Catherine Magbanua broke up, according to your direct. Do I have that right?
That's not correct.
Oh, when did you break up?
Within a week. I met her, we went out to dinner, we went out to eat, and I just said, this has got to end.
All right, so you broke up with her.
Yes.
Weren't you scared that if you broke up with her that she would sick the Latin Kings on you?
No, because I had every intention of paying every month. When I broke up with her and I said, listen, I don't want to surround myself with this, I'm scared. She said that she was going to come every month and pick up the money and protect me. And she understood. I mean, our relationship was on the rocks.
But you've testified that all the gifts and stuff that you gave her were to keep her happy, right?
Yeah, when I realized that she's the one who's protecting me and she wasn't a part of this extortion, I had no problem keeping her happy, and I looked for things to do, nice things to do for her, because she was broke.
But not worried about pissing her off by breaking up with her.
Well, our relationship was definitely on the rocks. After July 1st, when Sigfredo cut me off and threatened me and called my dad, and then she knew I didn't even invite her to my dad's birthday party, which was a family gathering with family friends on July 5th. She knew we were going to be done.
After you broke up with Catherine Magbanua a week after the murder, did you continue to talk to her?
We still communicated, for sure.
Talk on the phone?
And texted, yeah.
And meet up?
No, the only time I would see her was, I saw her again the end of August. She came and picked up the money, and that's when she asked me if I could put her on the books, because none of this money was going to her and she needed to get health insurance for her kids. So I said, yeah, I'll do it and help you out.
And did you continue to hook up with her after the breakup? And by that I mean, have sex with her.
There was one occasion.
Wow, look at this. We've got KG with a Glock under the bed, and Patsy Cline with a Ruger. What is that? I need to look that up. A Ruger. Ooh. Okay. So nobody break into Patsy's place. My contacts are out at night and I'd need to have the quickest access as possible. Wow. Yeah, so Patsy, are you in a city or a rural community or what? You know what we need to do? We need to do our map, guys. Maybe we should start that off right now. US map. Okay, we need to get a better map. Rather rural. What state? That's my next question, because we started doing this and we did get all 50 states, but we lost our map. So, what state is everybody in? Let us know in the comments and we'll write that down and build our map for tomorrow. I think we need to collect them all again. We'll start with the US. Then we're going to Canada. Then we're going to Mexico, South Africa, Australia. Okay, so we got South Carolina. Nice. In fact, if you go straight across the Atlantic from where I am, I end up on Myrtle Beach. That's South Carolina, isn't it? I think so. So we got South Carolina, California. Amy, you are not in New York. Why are you saying New York? Please, everybody, be honest. And it must be your state where you live. You can't be just visiting Nebraska. Why would anybody visit Nebraska? But if you are visiting Nebraska, it doesn't count. Pennsylvania, Texas, Georgia. We're doing well already. West Virginia, Maryland. Okay, is that everything? All right. Good job, good job.
There was one time that we hooked up.
Okay, when was that?
I want to say it was probably about 5 months after we'd broken up.
Oregon.
Okay, well, there was one other occasion before that in October of 2014. Do you recall that? October 9th of 2014?
But Addie, are you in West Virginia? Literally a coal miner's daughter. Wow. Cool.
That's probably the occasion I'm talking about, because July, when we count the months, July, August, September, October, so 4 months. I mean,
Okay, and then there's
10
another
years.
one on October 15th. You remember that one?
No, I think we did hook up about one time.
Okay, well, one time on October 9th and one time on October 15th.
I thought it was one time. If it was 2 times, it's been
Could
10
it have
years.
been 2 times?
But no more.
Okay. And on August 25th, 14, that would have been after the breakup, right?
Yeah.
You text her, and then she replies, I don't need help, I'm good. Don't need favors, nor will I trust anyone again. Erase my number, please. Go on with your life like you did already and have been doing. Sorry we spoke today, I don't want to stress your life more. Don't do anything for me. Do you remember receiving that text from Catherine Magbanua?
Province, Jill Jane. We need the province.
Yeah, sounds familiar.
And that's a pretty weird text to get from the extortionist. You're meeting her to give her money. Why is she saying erase my number?
She's not the extortionist.
On
In
9/11
in 2014, I didn't think she was the extortionist.
Right, but it's been revealed that she was.
in 2019. So you're taking what was known in 2019 and you're trying to say I knew what I knew in 19
I'm not
and
trying to
14.
say you knew. I'm trying to say she knew. She knew she was the extortionist. Why is she telling you to erase her number and leave her alone?
Oh. Because I broke up with her.
Exactly.
Exactly. Washington State. You see, we're doing real good already, guys. We got a fifth of the map already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. We got the entire West Coast. We'll separate these into time zones. All Pacific time. Good. No Mountain Time. That's always the last one, isn't it?
On 9/14 or 9/11 of 14, she sends you hashtag bestie for life. Do you remember that?
It sounds familiar.
So did you all have some kind of reconciliation after the breakup?
No, I was probably doing a favor and making her happy with something.
On
Probably borrowed some
10/6
money.
of 2014, I love you. It makes me feel good that you care about me. I'm lucky to have you as part of my life. Do you remember sending that to her?
Yeah.
On 10/9 of 14, I mentioned the sex talk. I won't go into the details of it.
Wisconsin. Very nice. Very nice, Margaret. Wisconsin. 22% already. What did it take ages for us to get? It took us ages to get North Dakota.
Again, 10/15, more sex talk. 10/23 of 14, thank you again for everything you're doing for my mommy. She sends you that. What were you doing for her mother?
I don't know. I think I did a consult for her, but I didn't do anything for her mom.
2/24 of 15, you agree that she always knows how to make you smile, and you say I love you to her. Remember that?
Yeah, I cared a lot about Katie, and I didn't think that she was a part of this. So I was always trying to keep her happy and make her happy, and I felt like she got caught up, dragged into something that she shouldn't.
Yeah, the jury's just like, well, I believe him. Yeah, he was trying to keep her happy. I mean, all of that stuff that looks like, favors, payments for a murder. He was trying to keep her happy so that she would not make the extortion go up. I mean, the extortion going up would be bad because he'd have to pay more money. So the way that he prevents that is to pay more money.
Shouldn't have been dragged into.
Okay, maybe, but she dragged you into it as well.
I didn't see it like that at all. And our relationship actually got stronger. Initially when I got extorted, I had limited contact with her and I was cold to her. And then over time, I realized that she's the one who's protecting me and she's not involved with these people because the extortion never went up and Katie was always broke.
She was involved with them because she was...
The extortion never went up and Katie was always broke. Okay, lest we get carried away with Georgia Kaplan's fantastic cross-examination. It does obviously deserve its own video and thumbnail. We're going to do the whole thing again. I think we should cut it off there. Or should we give it another 3 minutes? We'll bring it up another 3 minutes to bring us up to an even 3 hours and 30.
had a child with the guy, right?
I didn't know for sure it was him,
But you suspected always that it was him.
I always suspected that Sigfredo was behind this.
So
yeah.
wouldn't you want to distance yourself from this woman who, I mean, were you ever really that serious about her to begin with?
I mean, we spent 7, 8 months together.
But you were never considering marrying her.
No, I wasn't considering
I mean,
that.
you were a playboy, right? You had a zillion girlfriends.
That is actually not even true.
Okay. Did you have a lot of girlfriends?
I had 2 girlfriends in the 2 or 3 years after her. I dated Whitney Kick for 9 months.
Okay, but how many women were you talking to and engaging with sexually? A lot more than Whitney Kick, right?
There could have been 1 or 2.
Or more?
No.
Okay. Point being, you were not going to marry Catherine Magbanua.
I wasn't having marriage plans, no.
Okay. And you have now broken up with her after this incident.
Yes.
She's the person that's taking the money from you physically.
She's the one. I looked at it as she's the one who's protecting me. If she wasn't, I was going to get a visit
Is
from
she
somebody.
the one that was physically taking the money?
Yes.
Is she the one that was connected to the person you suspected to have killed your brother-in-law?
I thought she was tied to that person, yes.
And she's the one that got you into this, right? Because she ran her mouth, right?
And I looked at that I ran my mouth too. And if I never said anything to her, this would never have happened. So I felt responsible for saying something to her in the first place.
But you didn't feel responsible enough to try to do anything about her sitting in jail, an innocent woman, for 3 years. Did you?
She never contacted me.
You didn't offer to testify in her trial. You let her get convicted and get life in prison, didn't you?
I thought the truth was going to come out.
But not through you.
I was never contacted. I thought it was going to come out through her.
Was there any contact between your lawyers and her lawyers?
You'd have to ask them.
You said you didn't have any contact with her. Did you have any contact?
zero contact with her.
So your lawyers didn't tell you anything on behalf of her lawyers?
Absolutely not.
And her lawyers didn't hear anything from your lawyers?
I don't know what lawyers talk about, but I can tell you that I never talked to Katie, and I never told my lawyers.
You never relayed a message through your lawyers that the Adelson family would not be talking in this case?
And absolutely not.
And she had nothing to worry.
Yeah, well, that's not what, of course, Georgia Kappelman is referring to. A call from Sigfredo's attorney, because when Sigfredo was arrested, General Isom was phoning up the lawyer for Sigfredo Garcia, and that lawyer was phoning Katie saying they're going to want you to come in. They're like asking me, you know, she's going to be arrested. Is she going to make a deal? We want her to make a deal, blah, 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 blah. So that lawyer, Sigfredo's lawyer, contacted the Adelson lawyer and said, is that family talking? And that was all recorded. You know? I'm amazed that that call was not played at this trial. We had to go back to the wiretaps to find that. I wish I had that labeled so I could play it right now. I don't. But soon we will do on our fantastic website. Anyway, we are at 3:30, so we should cut it off now. We are going to be back. This was just a warm-up. We'll have a look at the full Georgia Kappelman cross-examination of Charlie Adelson tomorrow, guys. But for now, we will say good night, and thank you so much to the chatters, the super chatters, the super sticker givers, the super coffee go-getters, and the bulletproof Metrix moderators. Good fucking community building, guys. And by the way, we are about to change the format up on True Crime Metrix. I am so looking forward to it. You know, I've just been feeling like full trial commentary isn't really what I want to do. We need to do something more focused, you know, with more pre-prep. This is just too easy. You know, I know it's a good trial and it's kind of in the context because of Donna Adelson's coming up, and so much of the evidence used against Charlie is relevant to that case, and you know, it's very relevant to what we're talking about now, but we got to do some other things, and we will. So keep an eye out for that on True Crime Metrix. Yeah, thank you everybody. We will be back tomorrow. Should we start earlier? Yeah, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock. I'll put up a thumbnail nice and early. That's my commitment for tomorrow. But for now, we will hide all this, and we're going to play our fantastic outro. Where is it? Here it is. Thank you, everybody. Good night.